of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. Just, I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing. Lobito! Got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
All right. Oh, welcome everybody to another BDA Boxing podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. It's your good friend, Mr. BDA, and I sure am glad that everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. In this episode, we got a fantastic one for you, as we have a fantastic fight coming up this Saturday. The fight that I'm looking forward to the most, that I've been looking forward to the most in the past 4 months, and it is Bivol versus Beterbiev. Now, hopefully, cross your fingers. Hopefully, there's nothing that happens to these guys between now and Saturday that would prevent the fight from occurring, because you never know. I mean, this dude Beterbiev's falling apart. Bivol is having a marital problem, so hopefully nothing happens, nothing interferes that stops this fight. But what I'm saying is, it's a fantastic fight, and I don't know who to pick. Hopefully, as we talk about this fight, you guys can help me figure out who wins. And we're going to be taking phone calls near the end of the hour. And that's about it. And then perhaps there will be more shows this week, later on this week, because this is a type of fight that deserves more shows. Before we get down to the fun, let's get the business out of the way, fellas. You know the drill. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so with the Super Chat feature, although it's always better if you join the membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. And you can help fund our documentaries via Patreon as well for as low as $5 or $2, I believe, per month. We just released a couple of days ago the Box's Most Shocking and Obscure Moments of All Time, Volume 2. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. Make sure to spread it all over the place. And don't forget, you can check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and Spreaker at your leisure. And what else? I always forget something. Oh, yeah, don't forget to always hit the like and subscribe if you yet to do so already. It really helps us out. Spread the BDA gospel to the uninitiated out there. Speaking of the fans and the listeners, shout out to Team Badman Boxing, Warp Speed. Shout out to Warp Speed, one of the initiated. Grim Reaper, Eparokua, Nightmurph. Who else we got? PSK, Gene Ryu Jr. 33, Sloth, Quick Sloth, Rapax Trucking Company 10-4. Who else we get here? Alejandro Solis in the house as well. Apology Man. Haven't seen him in a while. Shout out to Apology Man. Dark Hey Dog, another one of the initiated. Soul Passive Live, Hyperspaz, Nightmare in there as well. Wait a minute. Who's saying? Somebody's saying, fuck. Well, actually, I missed the comment. Somebody was saying, fuck Bivol. He said, okay, yeah, fuck Bivol. That's Chaparocua saying, fuck Bivol. He's a cheater and a wife beater. I don't know about the cheater thing, but I mean, what, is that what the wife is saying, that he's a cheater? Shout out to PSK, Evan, Alfredo Contreras, Boxing with Frank Bay. Shout out to Frank Bay, who's renewed his membership program. Shout out to him. Shout out to Nightmurph as well for becoming a BDA member. Shout out to those guys. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the show. Shout out to Official Scorecard Boxing, aka Steph K, who says, Mr. BDA, can you upload the version of the film study I already sent you? My software fucked up. I can't correct it. Yeah, okay. I'll post that version, man. I was watching it, and it was good. I didn't really see some of the mistakes that you were talking about, but I think it's postable. So we're going to be posting Steph K's boxing film analysis about the Beterbiev Bivol fight. It's a very in-depth analysis. It really goes in depth about Beterbiev's footwork and his ability to control his opponents. It's really nitty-gritty that he gets down to it. Fantastic. And it's one of those things that when I watch it, it helps me understand more how this potential 50-50 fight might look. Now, if you read the title of the video of this podcast, you might be scratching your head. So what does that mean? Are these guys too good for Fight of the Year? Well, what I mean by that is Beterbiev too good? Is he too much of a force of nature for this fight to be competitive? Or is Bivol way too good a boxer that he's going to nullify everything Beterbiev does and make it one-sided on his end? That's what I'm talking about. Now, I got to tell you guys, in the beginning, when Fury Usyk was announced, I didn't think it was going to be that good a fight. Shout out to Double L for his contribution with the super chat. He says, Beterbiev round KO, gayest show in boxing. Well, wait a minute. I appreciate the super chat, but I don't appreciate the super chat. How about that? Two seemingly conflicting statements, yet they make sense once you understand what Double L is intimating about the sexual nature of this show. And I don't like those type of comments, let me tell you. But I do accept the money. Why not? I'm a sellout. I'll admit it. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so Fury Usyk, I wasn't really expecting it to be an entertaining fight. I thought it was going to be. I didn't think Usyk was that big a puncher, and I didn't think Fury was that good a boxer or a good a slugger as people made him out to be. You know, because he pressured Wilder, so he's going to try to pressure Usyk. I didn't expect that to happen too much, and I expected it to be a lot of clinching. Well, lo and behold, it turned out to be a Robert. What do they call it in the WWE? Slobber knocker. Fury actually gave Usyk a very hard fight. Almost dropped him, according to Usyk. Only God held him up in those early rounds when Fury was laying it on him. And then Usyk comes back, and then it became a real fight. So maybe this one becomes a good fight too as well. Maybe I'm not expecting it to be, but it surprises me. I don't know. Well, what do you guys think? Is this going to be an aesthetically pleasing fight? More to come on that. Let me invite a couple of people over here. And hold on a second. Yeah, I'm going to invite a couple of people here and really try to figure out where we're at with this fight, because I'll tell you right after. Oh, and we're going to be taking predictions too. Of course, this is an official prediction show as well. I don't know if we should do a call-in show, because I don't know how many people are going to call in for this one. I'm get the feeling that it's flying under the radar because it's just two Russians fighting. Most Americans don't care about an American fighting and a foreigner, let alone two foreigners fighting. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with if we do a call-in show. But depending, if we don't get too many predictions today, maybe that's what I'll go for. One thing I'm going for here is I'm trying to invite people, but here on Discord, they don't even give you a list in alphabetical order. So I don't know what's going on here. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. It really helps us out. Hold on a second. Yeah, I should really start inviting people before the show starts. That would make it easier. All right, listen. Again, I don't know who's going to win this fight. But ever since it was announced, or even when we were just talking about it, considering it, my gut instinct was always Beterbiev would win. That's my gut instinct. And not for nothing, but most of the time, obviously not all the time, but most of the time, my gut instinct is right. Even when I don't get the prediction right, a lot of the things that I expected to materialize in the fight end up occurring. So I guess I'm guessing I got a good read about fights and predictions. But I'm not omniscient. I can see whenever I make a pick, it's never, well, I guess this guy's gonna win and that's it. That settles the score. It's this, there's no way the other guy is winning. That's never the issue with me. There's always a chance for the other guy to win, especially in this one. It's about as close to a 50-50 fight as it gets. But I also want to say something about the nature of the fight. And I want to get out of the way straight up here, right in the beginning of the show, because I don't want to piss on anyone's parade. But like I said with Crawford versus Spence. I'm gonna say it again here. This fight, it's good that it's happening, and it wouldn't be happening without the Sheik, because again, this is a fight that's making no money, either in the US or in Russia or Ukraine or Bangladesh. It ain't, no one's clamoring for it other than hardcore boxing fans. So we needed somebody to subsidize it. So I'm glad it's happening. However, it's a fight that should have happened 3 to 4, maybe even 5 years ago. Well, maybe not 5. That's going a little bit too far. 2019. But at least since 2022, after Bivol beat Canelo, who at the time some considered to be the number 1 pound-for-pound guy, and then Beterbiev dismantled Joe Smith Jr. Now, because of Joe Smith's injuries and because of red tape surrounding different promotional entities, we didn't get that fight happening. And it was only now with the Sheik and his war coffer that we're finally getting the fight. But again, it should have happened earlier. It should have happened years ago. So I'm a little bit miffed by that. I don't know. I think I have OCD or something, but I can't help but wonder what could have been. I'm gonna, after the fight, it's gonna be good to have some resolution, but I'm still gonna be wondering what could have happened had this fight taken place 3 years ago. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But it should be an interesting fight. I see we got Never Sobers here. You never know where he's at. Sobers, are you there?
Well, I'm definitely up high in the sky right now, BDA. What's
Oh,
up?
boy. May I remind people that this is a drug-free channel. We don't condone the use of narcotics. I've said it before when I was voting for Reagan, even though I am not an American. I voted in spirit. And I think drugs are a pathway to hell. But anyway, that's neither here or there. Solvers, we're finally getting it. Maybe, provided everything goes according to plan. We're getting Beterbiev Bivol. I don't know who to pick in this one. Not yet, anyway. So today is the official prediction show. How do you see this fight going?
I've been jumping back and forth between Bivol and Beterbiev, bro. For a while, I was thinking Bivol could win,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, he's faster. He got faster feet. He's younger. But then I started thinking, well, besides his age, really, what does he have over Beterbiev? If Beterbiev was a couple years younger, I would pick him, easily. So I'm thinking, okay, he really hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. Why am I leaning that direction, right? So I started leaning more towards Beterbiev. You know what I mean? So, I'm having a hard time because I'm thinking Bivol can outbox him for 12 rounds, but I'm thinking also, if the only thing that Beterbiev has right now that's a negative is his age, he really hasn't shown it in his last fight, other than, these injuries that happen outside the ring. But in the ring, he is who he is. And also a thing I observed about his style, man, he kind of hits with an open palm a little bit, and he kind of cuffs behind the head, and he hits a lot of his dudes behind the head. And I wonder if Bivol can handle that shit.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And also, I want to put it in there too. The baby mama drama for Bivol, bro. You never know how he's not mentioning it, but this woman's all over the internet talking shit about him, talking shit about Eddie Hearn, saying, me and my kids are voting for the other guy. You dig? I don't know, bro. That could factor into this fight. What if he comes out with Etta Karina and the kids, BDA?
You imagine if that happens, it would have to be the first time that would ever. I mean, I don't think any fighter is prepared. As good as some of these guys are, mentally strong. Like, they even in the amateurs, they go to foreign countries and they go to other countries. They travel, so they're used to fighting in hostile territory or whatever. But I don't think these guys would. I don't think any fighter would be prepared. The closest thing anyone's ever done to that was when Mayweather fought Corrales, and Corrales was battling allegations that he'd beaten the crap out of his girlfriend or something, or wife. And Mayweather, I think he walked in with a shirt that was saying like domestic abuse, stop a domestic abuse, something like that.
All women.
Yeah, something like that. So that was the closest that anyone. I mean, but first of all, I don't think Beterbiev would do that. But imagine if he would, if he brings in Bivol's wife.
That would be insane, dude.
Okay, but I got to rebuke you for something. You're supposed to make my life easier here, telling me who to pick. Instead, you're as confused as I am. So you're pretty much useless to me, Never Sobers. I'm going to have to kick you off the panel.
Today I'm leaning Beterbiev. Tomorrow might be Bivol, bro. I don't know. He might have that cocaine look in his eyes where he's just a single man and he has nothing to lose anymore.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I got to tell you.
He might just come in there ready to die.
I just want to reiterate that my gut feeling is Beterbiev. and I want to read a communique that I received from Gonzalo about this fight, provided that he doesn't jump on the show today. I want to read it. But shout out, before we continue, shout out to Hyperspaz for his contribution with the super chat. He says, Canelo believes Beterbiev will win. That's why he claims he'll fight Bivol if he wins, so he can say he wanted a rematch. All right, so apparently Canelo's playing 4D chess here, predicting what's going to happen so that he looks good coming out. But who else? Somebody else made a prediction. Shout out to Hyperspaz. Okay, Double L. Let me just write down his prediction here. Because again, this is the prediction show. And we're taking down predictions. Hold on a second. Let me get rid of the dogometer here. Yeah.
I'm going to say if Bivol comes in BDA as his alter ego, Evil, it might be over with for Beterbiev. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's a... you know, that never struck me, but the name, that never entered my mind. That's a good point there. See, Sobers is bringing up some good points here. Now he's swaying me into making a pick. Now I like where this is going. So Double L says Beterbiev, 9th round stoppage, or KO rather. I see we got Recognize jumping in here. Recognize, you there?
Yo, what's up, BDA?
What's up, Recognize?
What's up, bro?
Good to hear from you. Now, hopefully you're okay. I know that there's a storm going over there in your neck of the woods, Florida, so make sure there's no unmarked helicopters flying around trying to destroy your property like they're doing in North Carolina.
So far, so good.
Good. All right, so...
far, so good. I mean, who knows? That can change.
Well, I tell you what, there is a force of nature going at Bivol this Saturday, and that's Beterbiev. Both guys are very dominant, barely have lost any rounds throughout their professional career. Recognize, how do you see this fight going?
Yep, it's a classic fight, man. This is when it comes to boxing and what we look for in a fight, this is that type of fight. You got two guys undefeated. They're the belt carriers for all the major titles in a weight class like heavyweight. They're evenly, like, in terms of height and reach, basically the same size, right? Everything's pretty even. The reason I'm going with Beterbiev slightly, the reason why I'm picking Beterbiev slightly is because boxing, this is where punching power, or somebody who has more of it, becomes, it becomes a game of inches, right? So I think that Bivol has to be perfect, which he has been in a lot of fights. And like you said, he's barely lost rounds. Even when he fought Canelo, I struggled to give Canelo any rounds, right? Like, I gave him some rounds, but they were, like, very thin. That's basically his whole career. And then you got Beterbiev. Even if he does lose rounds like he did against Vosdik, he definitely got touched up by a Yard, and he got dropped. I forget the guy's name in one fight. The thing about him is that he's a bruiser. Like, this is a guy who just, I wouldn't say he's got one punch knockout power, although maybe he could do that, if he had to. But it just seems like every time this man hits you, right? And he knows how to get in. He knows how to get in on the inside. He knows how to basically cut the ring off and not smother his punches so he can get the most effect on it. It just seems like everybody falls apart. And solid fighters, too. Vosdik was kind of similar to Bivol. We were talking about this. A couple of people on the chat. I was talking to Sobers too about it. That he kind of reminds me of Bivol. Bivol probably faster feet, and I want to say condition wise, maybe a little bit better than a guy like Vosdik.
Did you see
Vosdik had problems?
Did you see Gosvick his advice for Bivol to win the fight? Recognize?
What do you say?
He said, "Don't let him touch. Don't let him punch you and run away."
Gee, Luis.
Like, literally,
Okay.
that's what he said.
But even okay, so Gvozdyk was actually having a lot of success. I don't remember that fight was a while ago. It was like 5 years ago, but I think up into the stoppage, I might have had Gvozdyk up, you know, or at least a draw, something like that. The fight was close, from what I remember. And
It was
then he
competitive.
was having success until he wasn't, right? Until he wasn't having success until Beterbiev started getting in, in his range where he was landing those big shots. He fought. He even fought a little dirty in that fight too, if you remember. A lot of punches were behind the head, and some of it was Gvozdyk's fault, the way he was like leaning in. But I don't think Beterbiev minds. So yeah, I mean, I'm still gonna go Beterbiev, man. I got this fight. He could lose. I know about his injuries. I think all these fighters got injuries, but his is more telling because he had that surgery. Uh, Barring that, from what I've seen from them in their last couple of fights, I like Beterbiev, and I like Beterbiev to stop him late, or at least drop him when maybe the first fight he has to win on the scorecards. But yeah, that's how I see that fight happening.
Interesting.
That's how I see it playing out.
I gotta tell you,
work the other way around.
It took me a while to be sold on Beterbiev. I remember when he was on the come up. It was a bizarre come up that he had because he was with the PBC. He started out with the Canadian organization, Eye of the Tiger, I think, or no, I don't know. It used to be called something else, I think. Anyway, he was with the Canadian. Then we were the PBC. Now the PBC were obviously they had Errol Spence and Deontay Wilder at the time. They were paying more attention to those guys. They didn't have time for some Russian living in Canada. But I always saw him as a big puncher, but he was finding a bunch of really subpar opposition. Then when he fought Enrico Koiling, that strong German, on ESPN, he didn't really look like a killer. And I was thinking, why doesn't this guy load up on his shots? It seems like he's content just pity-patting sometimes. And, he was getting the stoppages, but I was thinking, why at that time, Golovkin was the guy who was really active and considered one of the best punchers in the game. And I used to think, why doesn't Beterbiev do that if he's obviously heavy-handed? Or when he fought another dude, a tough southpaw named Alexander Johnson, he beat the crap out of him, but it's almost like imperceptible early on because he's not loading up on the shots. Since then, I've come to realize that this guy is a killer. Obviously, I mean, he's all of his fights have ended by stoppage. So, and then the one that really impressed me was when he fought Marcus Brown. Because Marcus Brown, you saw what he did to a pressure fighter like Badu Jack. Just completely overwhelmed him, outboxed him. Beterbiev goes in there, stalks him, beats him up. Nothing fancy from Beterbiev. Just hands up, good footwork, in and out sometimes, keeping him at a distance while he had him on the ropes, and beat the crap out of poor Marcus Brown. That's the fight where I said, oh boy, this guy, I'm convinced. I mean, you would have thought that I would have been convinced after the Gvozdyk fight, but I still had a couple little doubts, but it was Marcus Brown, then Joe Smith, then Yardy, then now Callum Smith this past January. This guy is dangerous, very dangerous. However, Bivol too is a force of nature in his own right, in the sense that how he's so good at controlling guys, and he's not. That's what I mentioned in a video that I did over at BDA Clips, our secondary channel. Bivol doesn't drop his hands like Sergio Martinez. He doesn't do the shoulder roll or the Philly shell like Mayweather. He doesn't do the rope-a-dope like James Toney or Muhammad Ali. He's in front of you, hands up, in and out, pendulum. Always outboxing his opponents and not running around the ring in the ass style, moving excessively, clinching, shaking his ass. He doesn't do that. He can. In spots, we've seen him do it, especially against Joe Smith Jr., the biggest puncher he's faced. But he's essentially a guy that stands in front of you. And that's why I call him a pressure fighter, because he's always doing something to pressure his opponent. Punches in bunches, jabbing, in and out. You never know when he's going to come in and strike. So it's going to be interesting to see, man. Would it be fair to say that, because one of the things that we're all focusing on is the punching power. And one of the things we've also talked about is that Beterbiev is a better boxer than people give him credit for. In certain spots, he was outboxing Gvozdyk. So my question to you guys is, would it be fair to say that Beterbiev has fought somebody like Bivol when he fought Gvozdyk, but that Bivol has never fought anybody like Beterbiev? Do you guys disagree or agree with that statement?
No, I think I agree with that. I mean,
I agree.
the biggest puncher, the biggest threat Bivol fought in terms of power was probably Joe Smith, and he's a big puncher, right? Um, I believe he hurt Bivol. From what I remember, he had
Yeah,
hurt Bivol.
twice.
Bivol won every round, fucking just about, right? Like from what I remember, he beat him up. Nothing came out of that. But he's not one of these guys who could put punches together with pressure like I'm talking about Joe Smith, like a guy like Beterbiev. He doesn't have the boxing IQ like that, or he doesn't have the talent. But he had a big punch, and he was able to get one in. He got a few in, and I think Bivol has a good poker face. And I seen Bivol get hit with big shots even by Canelo. Canelo's probably a little too small, but it kind of looked like, it got at the very least, it made Bivol, okay, let me not show that I'm hurt, but that shit hurt. So I just got to imagine, man, a guy like Beterbiev, no, you never seen a power like that. And a guy who knows how to get those punches in, knows how to cut off the distance. It seems like he does this suddenly. Yeah, he's gonna be in for a tough night. I'm not saying he can't pull it off. We've seen him, like you said earlier, we've seen him like basically you can count how many rounds he's lost in, I feel like in 10 fights.
Well, let me
So-
present to you this scenario here. Bivol, like you said, Smith hurt Bivol and he hurt him twice. Made him do the stinky leg, as I like to say, twice. The other fight Malik in the chat, or in the Discord rather, shout out to Malik, was reminding me about the Lyndon Arthur fight, which is I only watched it once because it was so mundane. Every round looked about the same. But he actually pointed something out that I'd missed because I didn't rewatch the fight. Arthur hurt Bivol to the body. And I have the clip here. I could play it. Maybe I'll play it in another episode or later on. But he threw I think it was a right hand to the body, straight right. Or it was a hook, I think. And Bivol visibly lowered his elbow, kept it tucked, and then started retreating. And it was obvious that he was hurt. I don't know how I missed it the first time. I must not have been paying attention to it live. He hurt him to the body. And one thing we know is that Beterbiev, when he was fighting Vozik especially, he would hit him with these straight rights to the body, and one of them visibly bent Vozik over. Like it made him double over. And I'm thinking, geez, Luis, this guy even with straight shots can hurt you to the body. What do you guys think? Is essentially can Bivol stay away from these big shots enough to avoid getting stopped?
Right, that's the question. Can he do it? Because he's gonna get touched up. He's going to. But can he kind of like, ride the momentum, take something off those punches throughout 12 rounds of a fight? I'm gonna say, yeah, he's gonna get hurt at some point. The question would be is how does he recoup from that? Does he make the adjustments after that while being maybe a little bit hurt at the same time by a guy like we said that he's probably never faced a guy with that kind of attributes in Beterbiev.
Yeah, and because again, I want to point something out here real quick. I'm not saying that Beterbiev's power is going to be the difference in the sense that he just has to hit Bivol once and that's it. Because that's what you hear from Tank fans, for example, or we used to hear from Wilder fans. He can't stay away from that power. One shot. They used to say one shot and it's over. That's not what happens with Beterbiev. Number one, he's a guy that he can stop guys early in fights, within the first 3-4 rounds. But it usually comes about of him hurting them, then going on the attack, dropping them a bunch of times, and then that's it. That's all she wrote. But he doesn't really drop guys like Inoue, for example, like these flash knockdowns, or even Canelo in his last couple of fights where he drops guys early with one shot and you're thinking, holy shit, he's going to stop him, and then he never stops him. Beterbiev is different. He doesn't have that one punch, I'm going to knock you out straight out, flash knockdown, but he just keeps beating on guys, being consistent round after round, and that's how he demolishes them. So that's what I'm saying when I say the power could be the difference. And that could be good news for Bivol, because then that means that, hey, if I stay away long enough, yeah, maybe it'll be hell in the last 3 rounds in the championship rounds. But if I bank enough early rounds, I can make it a distance and get that decision. But again,
I think it comes down to adjustments with these two. right? Who makes the better adjustment? I think that they're both going to face adversity. Obviously, the one that adjusts is better, and I think it's more pivotal for Bivol for the only fact that he doesn't pack as much power as Beterbiev does. Throughout a fight, a 12-round fight. So of course you're more in danger in that situation. That doesn't mean you automatically lose because you're more in danger because the other guy you're facing, you know, he's generally speaking, he got more power than you.
Right.
You can overcome that when you're a great fighter. But you know, kind of lost my point. But my point is that I would just finish it off with that's why I'm going Beterbiev because I see Bivol as the guy. These guys are really good fighters. They're skilled fighters in their own right. One guy has better power throughout a 12-round fight, and that's Beterbiev. That's why I'm going with him.
Well, I tell you what, that's the other thing that's really needs to be taken into account here is that, again, Beterbiev boxes better than people give him credit for. He's not just going in there, hands up, and eating shots and whacking guys with hooks, you know, spamming the hooks. That's not what he's doing. He takes his time breaking guys down. Like I said, he does this lean back, catches guys with jabs or right hands. Then he'll come in for different angles. Sometimes he'll dip to the right, come in with the overhand right. Sometimes he'll make it seem as if he's leading with the overhand right, but he'll actually lead with a left uppercut. And it's just, you know, it's hell. Because the other thing is he's so relaxed in there. He blocks shots. And he gives away the body shots too. He doesn't seem to care that he gets hit with body shots. And then as soon as the guy flurries, he's right back on their faces, jabbing or just essentially putting pressure on his feet.
Look at his abs. I wouldn't be worried either. They look like fucking steel or something. You know, I don't know what the fuck he's made out of.
He almost looks like me, except, you know, he needs a little bit more work. But yeah, you're right though. He's chiseled to the bone.
He needs a little bit more work. Compared to
just a little bit, just a little bit. I mean, it's not bad. I'm just saying, you know, he's not me.
Nachos and cheese and, you know, burritos and steak burritos and stuff like that. He'll be looking exactly like you.
Absolutely. There you go. Well, wait a minute. Well, but anyway, the point is that you but okay, let's flip it out because again, I'm sort of leaning towards Beterbiev here, but let's give Bivol some of the ways that he could win this. First of all, the X factors. Beterbiev is close to 40 now. He's going to be 40 in January. He's been plagued by injuries, especially in the last 3 years. He's been postponing fights left and right. And he's finding a guy who's got stamina for days. He throws punches and bunches. Could this play a factor? Or in other words, would you guys be surprised if all of a sudden Bivol slows down just a tiny little bit and that's enough for Bivol to walk away with a decision? Or how likely is that, I guess?
Right. You mean Beterbiev slows down a little bit and Bivol is just too much in terms of movement, overall speed, and punching, right? Stamina.
That's right.
Yeah, that definitely could happen, man. I mean, man, I talked to quite a few people who are boxing fans, you know, people that we talk to here. And I'm not going to lie, like the ones that are going for Bivol, they bring up some really good points that I say, yeah, I'll be definitely paying attention to that. And I see where they're coming from. And that's what it's going to take. Yeah, he's got to. I think in Bivol's case, it's got to be almost a perfect fight. There's no such thing as a perfect fight,
right?
Right. In terms of like, you know, unless you just fucking go in there and you ice somebody, you don't get hit, you know, because the guy never got a chance to let off. But as the fight goes, you try to minimize damage, as much damage as possible while giving damage. You know, and if Bivol could do that to a guy who's got 100% knockout ratio, that might be a head fuck for, excuse my language, for a guy like Beterbiev, who's so used to be getting his way in the ring, right, as a pro.
Mm-hmm.
That might play some mental games as the fight goes along in the later rounds.
It could, man.
It's like, oh shit, everything I'm doing, man, he's shutting me down. You know, I'm having some success, but not the success that I was hoping for.
Yeah, because you know what? I was trying to get some statements from former Beterbiev victims about what it was like to fight Beterbiev. Some of them are still a little bit too prideful to admit that this guy was too much. Like, for example, I got one here from Joe Smith. He was doing an interview with YSM Sports Media. And he started making excuses. He goes, honestly, I thought I was strong in there and stronger than him. It just wasn't my night. See, when a fighter goes, it wasn't my night. Like, what does that mean? You're saying that if it would have been your night, it would have been a different story. He says, I got caught behind the ear.
Right.
He says, I got caught behind the ear with a shot that I couldn't recover from. I had a lot going on leading up to the fight, but no excuses. But again, he's making excuses. But he was a better man on that night. Who knows? Maybe in the future I'll get a shot at him. And then he said this. He says, I feel that Bivol, because again, he fought Bivol as well, was a tougher fight for me because he's an all-around fighter. But both fighters are very skilled. Beterbiev is very accurate with his punches. He hits you where he wants to. I would be looking forward to seeing the two of them fight. Beterbiev has got that punch accuracy, but Bivol is an all-around fighter. Now, what do you think that he means by that? Because he doesn't elaborate further. But how is Bivol an all-around fighter more than Beterbiev is?
You know, coming from a dude who's a boxer and a big puncher, I think when they see it as the ability to like not get hit with huge shots. They say they use these words, complete fighter, right?
Uh-huh.
And maybe he punches hard enough that it makes a guy like Joe Smith say, oh shit, he's kind of shutting me down because I also got to be careful with his power, his sneaky power. So I think guys like that, these gym rats, they break down a guy like him as a complete fighter because they don't do that. You get what I'm saying?
Makes sense.
They don't know how to do. They don't know how to do all of that in a fight.
I suppose that makes sense. Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, if he sees him as a complete fighter because of that, I kind of understand what he means. But I would say that the other guy's a complete fighter too, by that metric, because he's coming forward and he's minimizing damage while giving max damage so far. And I'm talking about Beterbiev.
Apology Man in the chat says, that's what I used to say to my ex. It wasn't my night. Oh.
That's what I said to all the girls that turned me down. I was like, hey, listen, man, it just wasn't my night.
You know what John Gonzalez tells girls?
Oh, it wasn't their night.
Yeah, it wasn't there. It wasn't there. It's 6 feet. John Gonzalez tells the girls it's 6 feet under night. That's what he tells them. But listen,
yeah, I'm confused.
But yeah, I think I understand what you're saying, that when these fighters say, oh, he's an all-around fighter, they're more or less talking about specific traits about defense and all that. But I will say this, Bivol can fight coming forward. He showed it in the Lyndon Arthur fight. He was putting more pressure than usual, so he can pressure when he wants to. And I think it goes for both fighters. I think Beterbiev is a very good boxer who can punch. And Bivol, he's a puncher who can box, whereas Bivol is a boxer who can punch as well. So you got one puncher who can box, and then you get a boxer who can punch. That's going to be
when
interesting.
Lomachenko had his last fight against Kambosos, right? It kind of reminded me of Bivol, the way he was coming in and out. He kind of like cut down on the angles, just went in and out, and that worked against somebody. I'm using Lomachenko. That worked against somebody like fuck man, who was the last guy he fought? Kambosos. Sorry. The thing about Bivol, he could do that with certain fighters. I want to say he did that against, remember Sullivan Barrera? Remember him?
Yeah.
Remember that fight?
I remember.
He did a lot of that shit. And he ended up stopping him. But I wouldn't expect, he did that against other fighters too, but I wouldn't expect that against Beterbiev. If he does that, that'll be real fucking interesting. And I also think it could be a huge mistake. I think it could be a really big mistake to be that linear. Not that he's keeping his head on the line, but the more you do it, I could get your timing down, and eventually catch you with a big shot. So I wouldn't expect that. I expect a lot of backing up to the rope, circling around, getting back in the middle of the ring. That's what I'm thinking Bivol wants to do against Beterbiev.
Yeah, because, that's the other thing. I keep bringing up the Gvozdyk fight, but that was 5 years ago. And again, it's who knows if Beterbiev can still pull that type of performance off against a fighter like similar to Gvozdyk in Bivol. Now, the other thing is, and again, I keep wondering about this, but Bivol, one of the qualities I like of is that as soon as a guy finally manages to land clean on him, he'll come back and reply with a combination. That reminds me of Sugar Leonard, Marco Antonio Barrera. These guys, you would hit them once and they would have their get back, as they say, straight off, right off the bat. So that's a championship quality right there. And my thing is, though, if he flurries, that means he's staying in the spot, not in the pocket necessarily, but he's staying in one spot to throw that combination. And Beterbiev is so relaxed, he'll punch in between those combinations usually against other fighters. My question then is, should Bivol save the combos for later on in the fight, or limit them as much as possible? Because by doing so, he would be going into the combinations, he would be giving Beterbiev a chance to score, or should he punch out of necessity to keep a monster like Beterbiev off of him?
It's a hard question to answer, but
well, that's why you're on the panel, because it's you're here for the hard questions.
I'm just trying to think of myself capable as Bivol, and then facing a guy like Beterbiev. I guess I would just want to get a feel for him, see if I have to do it in spots. Hopefully, like if I'm having a lot of success doing that, he's not fucking, baiting me in, so he could get my rhythm down, hit me with a big shot, fuck me up, and, build momentum from there. Everything's going to have to be playing it by just going with the momentum of the fight, going with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that's what Bill was going to do.
I mean,
if you see Bill having a lot of success, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You're correct. It's a difficult question, because what do you do against someone that's never been able to pull it off against? Nobody's ever had the best of Beterbiev consistently. Now, Official in the chat says, I think it's the opposite, BDA. He says, I think Beterbiev prefers that you throw single punches at him, which sort of makes sense because, and this is something that I highlighted in the video over there at BDA Clips, which is that Beterbiev tends to back up in a straight line, or sometimes when he's in the mid-range, he'll pull back, leaning back, and he's been caught a couple of times. Yardy caught him leaning back, so did Gvozdek in certain instances. It's just that Beterbiev goes back on the attack so often that those guys never capitalize on it. But again, with the injuries, with the age, and the fact that he's fighting a guy that's so quick in Bivol, I do wonder if eventually these mistakes are finally going to cost him, and get him a unanimous decision loss. The other thing is, a lot of people compare this fight to Crawford Spence. It's like, oh, you got the puncher versus the boxer, but Crawford could punch. I think he was a bigger puncher at welterweight than Bivol is at light heavyweight. That's number one. Number two, Crawford had been stopping people since 2016 in the build-up to the Spence fight. All of his fights since then had been by stoppage. Bivol is going decision. So I don't see him demolishing Beterbiev. Again, I think a lot of people were surprised at how one-sided the Crawford-Spence fight was, even those that were picking Crawford. But in other words, I'm saying, would you be shocked if Bivol was able to make it one-sided and beat up Beterbiev?
It'd be impressive. Yeah. Maybe shocked a little bit, but it would definitely be impressive considering who he's doing that against. We haven't seen this guy. He's had some adversity. Like you said, he got dropped, but he came right back and fucking, beat the daylights out of these opponents that gave him some adversity and ended the fight by stoppage. So the opportunity is there, but to pull it off against a guy like Beterbiev, it's something we've never seen before. So yeah, of course, it's going to be impressive if he does that. If he beats him in a one-sided decision, like let's say they go 12 rounds, and he 8-4'd them, let's just say.
Right. Yeah, and that's the other thing, though.
That would be fucking very impressive. Yeah.
And in order to do that, he would have to have like the same footwork. He's had that. I don't think we've seen it in a couple fights. I think when his last fight with was it Zanib? I didn't see him use his feet a lot. He kind of stood in front of the dude and he was trying to trade with him, stay in the pocket. And I seen Bivol get hit a lot more than I'm used to. And some of his shots were flailing a little bit. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. It looked like he was having a hard time fighting that style. But I feel like that's in a style he's adapted more lately. When he fought what's the Mexican dude's name? Gilberto Ramirez. He kind of didn't use too much footwork. He kind of was like standing his ground, and against Canelo as well. So for the footwork that he needs to have to beat Beterbiev and stay away, I don't think I've seen it in a while. And it just to bring up the lovely Karina again. She put out a laundry list of his injuries. She talked about his bad knees, fluid in his eyes, his hands being no
I
good.
mean, I don't want to go on that that route, but if that's true that she did that, what a biatch. You know what I'm saying?
She's
Like,
a lovely
what the?
woman, and we're gonna get an interview, right, BDA?
That's right. We're working on it. By the way, didn't she also list erectile
Well, if we work on
dysfunction?
an interview with her, then I change my opinion on her. She's a nice
She's a lovely woman, and she deserves to have a voice.
So, hey, Sobers, what were the injuries? Bad knee, bad shoulder, erectile dysfunction, or what else was there?
There was anal leakage and fluid in his eyes.
anal, anal inability to perform. Yeah.
He's a small
premature,
dick.
yeah, premature ejaculation. That was one of the other things she put on there.
BDA.
Yeah, she's like, he can only get hard watching gay porn. That was always his problem.
And he's into butt stuff.
Yeah, exactly. She's into the
what
leather.
a classy lady. What a classy lady. I like her.
Yeah, you know what? She's quite attractive, but like we all know with experience, sometimes the most attractive ones are the craziest ones. And hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. I think that's the lesson we should all learn. Again, I'm telling you, this is the first time I've ever seen this in the build-up to a big fight, perhaps the biggest fight of these guys' lives. A wife really busting his balls nonstop via social media. That's gotta be. Again, I don't know if that's irking Bivol or not. I know he's a professional. I know fighters zone these things out. But when it's a wife, they tend to know how to get under a guy's skin, man.
What if he puts her face on Beterbiev's face? What if he replaces Beterbiev's face with hers, like the water boy, and he just goes crazy on him in the ring?
I don't understand that. Does he look like the water boy or what?
No, I'm saying like he in the movie he put his mom on the other players, like her voice and their faces.
Oh, okay.
To help him destroy them. You know what I mean?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this woman, anything she does. But oh yeah, like I was gonna say, the Artur Beterbiev, a lot of his sparring partners seem to give him more credit than his actual opponents. Because again, we mentioned that Joe Smith was making, he was making excuses like, "Well, it wasn't my night. He hit me behind the head." Blah blah blah. Then you get Anthony Yard, who did give Beterbiev a good run for his money. Now, when we say these guys gave Beterbiev a good fight, that's a relative term because again, we're unaccustomed to seeing Beterbiev having any type of difficulty in his fight. So whenever a guy does manage to catch him more than once, it's almost like, whoa, it's like old school Golovkin type stuff or Inoue. It's like, whoa, this guy was able to land shots on him. That means, people tend to expand that into or exaggerate as if it was a more competitive fight than it actually was. However, he did manage to cut Beterbiev in there, and I think his body shots sort of had Beterbiev gassing a little bit in the middle of rounds. But again, Yardy is another dude. Didn't really want to give Beterbiev that much credit in terms. He said, "Well, I thought the fight was even before the knockdown, the ninth round stoppage. Up until then, it was just another fight." And I'm thinking, I don't know, man. He looked gassed. His face was all swollen up. He was cut. I don't understand why these guys just don't want to give him credit. I mean, I understand why, though. I understand why, but it was a rhetorical question. I don't know.
It's funny, BDA.
Yeah.
It's funny, BDA, when these guys get into these 50-50 fights, right? We start noticing how they could lose, right? But when they're fighting these guys, the Yards, the Joe Smiths of the world, we can't quite see them how they can lose this fight, right? We just are like, nah, their flaws are not going to be enough for that other guy to take advantage of the fight. But when they fight each other, sort of their flaws or what we perceive to be that, all of a sudden we look at it different. We're like, yeah, well, this guy could do it. He could take advantage of that. Well, basically, what I'm trying to say is that basically it all comes down to who executes their game plan the best.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to execute their game plan the best? And when you go with fighting, and you're talking about two guys that are good boxers in their own right, they have different ways of approaching it. Then it becomes like basically a game of inches. And the name of the name of the sport is punching. Right, that's the criteria. I just I got to go with the guy who knows how to put combinations together, just like the other guy in Bivol. But he just got more sting in that punch for the duration of the fight.
Yeah, you know what? And I think that's one of the reasons why when people, we see that Beterbiev can box. We've seen that in certain spots in his fights, and people probably go, well, why doesn't he box more? Like, if he wanted to, I think he could outbox guys just circling around the ring. The reason why he doesn't do that is because the Chavez effect. When Julio Cesar Chavez was training with Emmanuel Stewart for the Taylor rematch, Emmanuel Stewart saw that Chavez could box off the back foot very well if he wanted to, make himself very hard to hit. And he asked him, why don't you box off the back foot more? And he said, Chavez replied by saying, well, do you see who I'm up against? I'm up against Taylor. I'm up against Camacho Jr. Hector Camacho. I'm up against these guys that as soon as I hit him, they start moving, and then I have to chase him. And that's the same thing with Beterbiev. These guys taste his power, and then they say, no, sorry, Bob. I'm going on the defensive here. So he doesn't have to fight moving away because, these guys don't want to fight, pressure him.
If we don't, and if he doesn't fight guys that as soon as they get hit have the ability to start moving away and he has to chase them, like a guy like Joe Smith, that's how the fight ends, right? Because he's good enough boxer to capitalize on you being hurt and not able to get out of the way, and you're trying to get your get back.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how you're programmed. Well, you can't do that against a guy like Beterbiev.
Yeah, you really can't.
In 2 rounds.
Sometimes I think that if you move too much against Beterbiev, you're actually giving him momentum, and he likes that. Maybe that's what Official Scorecard of Boxing was referring to. That you need to stay on the spot and just make him work, throw away shots, not big shots, but just throw away shots to keep him occupied. No one's really ever done that against Beterbiev because, again, it sounds easier said than done. But maybe Bivol will be the guy to do it. If anybody can, that's.
He's never fought me. That's why.
Well, come on, yeah, but that's. I think they never licensed you because it was just too unfair. It was bad business that you would beat up everybody. It's not entertaining. But that's the thing with Beterbiev. Now, here's the other thing. Callum Johnson, the guy that dropped Beterbiev, he's one of the few guys that I've seen who is giving Beterbiev his just due as being a monster. He said that fighting Beterbiev was hell. And then this is what he had to say about a potential Bivol Beterbiev fight. He says that age could be a factor. You never know if Beterbiev turns old overnight, he said. Beterbiev is going to have the energy, he said, and sharpness to get him out of there because to beat him on points is going to be a tall ask for him. As you get older, you do lose a little bit, but hopefully it will happen sooner rather than later. He says, I still got Beterbiev at the moment, but it's not a pick that I would be confident on picking. So Callum Johnson is one of the guys that's picking Beterbiev for that one. And we shall see what happens. Fellas, don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. We are taking down predictions for the Bivol Beterbiev fight taking place this Saturday. And I guess we've covered a lot of those things here. What we're talking about Bivol's power, Bivol getting hurt to the body. Oh yeah, let me play that clip. I can't share the screen with you guys right now because it's fucking up a little bit here. But if you turn on your phone or whatever and you look at the YouTube stream, you will be able to see it. But I want to show. Let me just find the clip. Sorry about that. All right, so I'm watching it here. Okay, let me put it up on the screen because it was indeed a straight right to the body from not Anthony Yard, Lyndon Arthur. Excuse me. Here we go. Hold on a second. All right, here we go. So 8th round. You see that? He hit him with a straight right, and Bivol visibly overprotected that part of the body and then started retreating. Hold on a second. Let's replay that. Straight right, never saw it coming. See that? Was he playing possum perhaps? Because Lyndon Arthur just wasn't throwing shots, and maybe he wanted him to open up a little bit. But then again, you see, he started moving around a lot. Padokua says Bivol is soft to the belly. I mean, I don't want to go that far because again, that's what we used to hear for about a year about Usyk ever since the Dubois fight. Oh, he can't take it to the body, and people would make compilations of him eating body shots and then complaining to the referee. So I don't want to go that far and say that he's soft to the body. But if there's anyone, whether he's soft or not, Beterbiev has hurt people who are way tougher to the body. Well, not tougher, but seemingly stronger. So, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It could be dangerous here, those body shots. wanna talk about the Canelo Bivol fight though, because that is the closest guy to a Beterbiev opponent that Bivol has fought. But I think Pigeon wants to jump in, give us his prediction. He's in the UK, so he can't call in and give us his prediction. So I'm gonna put a StreamYard link for Pigeon, and the Pigeon Master can come in and give us his thoughts on the fight. Pigeon, I don't know if you can see that.
Both of them are pieces of shit. They're both pieces of shit.
You know, boxing is just a little bit of fun, man. That's the Pigeon.
It's a bit of fun, man.
Is that
both pieces of shit?
Is that a Liverpool accent, or he sounds like the Beatles when he talks? I don't know about that, man.
I don't know
about that.
I really know. I just see it as an English accent. Yeah, it's like an English.
I can
like
imagine,
an English accent to me.
I can imagine Pigeon in the late 19th century with a top hat, mutton chops, murdering a bunch of prostitutes like Jack the Ripper. That's how I can envision the Pigeon Master acting if he was in his past lives. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Well, I don't see him, so hopefully he shows up.
Pigeon is kind of like a legend. Pigeon's kind of like a legend in this YouTube boxing stuff, right?
Pigeon is a legend.
For all the wrong reasons.
Well, I mean, he puts himself out there. He doesn't hide. And then he shows up. The things that people would be embarrassed about, he doesn't he doesn't care, man. He's impervious to whatever accusations or even pictures are thrown there on the internet.
He's oblivious to shame.
Impervious, I said, not oblivious. you said oblivious. I said impervious. All right, but listen, while he shows up, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the Bivol Canelo fight, because I hear a lot of people saying, Bivol beat up Canelo. He gave him a whooping. I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. Then I go on Twitter and I see a lot of people they keep reposting the same 3 clips from the fight where he had Canelo on the ropes and he was throwing a combination at him. And people post that all the time as if that occurred throughout the fight. And look, listen, Bivol beat Canelo convincingly. I mean, there was no doubt that he won the fight. But when people say a whooping and all that, I don't know, man. To me, what Beterbiev does to his opponents, that's a beating. What Bivol did to Canelo is he just outpointed him. However, there's a couple of things that I saw from that Canelo fight that I don't like in relation to the Beterbiev fight. Canelo was pinning Bivol on the ropes in spots.
Bivol against the ropes.
Yeah,
he did.
So,
I saw that too.
So what do we think? Well, I mean, if Canelo could do that, is Beterbiev going to pull it off as well, or?
Well, I mean, look, he might have been taking a breather again. It's a guy like Canelo. Maybe he didn't feel so threatened because, Canelo's just like a lot smaller than him. And he already got the gauge of his power and what he can do. But it does show you that even against a guy like Canelo, who doesn't hit as hard as, was not as big and doesn't hit as hard as a guy like Beterbiev, that those guys can cause him stress throughout the fight. I'm not saying he caused them a lot of stress, but there was enough stress where there's a reason why he didn't just go in there and just blaze, just fucking hit Canelo with nothing but power shots throughout the whole fight.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think the reason why was because he was like a little cautious, like maybe if I get caught with something big that I don't see coming, this guy can hurt me. So that's the reason why guys don't knock out the other opponents. Not because, there was no need to. Get the fuck, like, what? If I can knock a dude out, I'm knocking him out. That's it. That's what you trained for. So even though he did beat Canelo pretty wide on the scorecard, I wouldn't say it was an ass whipping. I would just say it was a schooling. Yeah, I think he schooled him. It does, if you're nitpicking, you look at it and you say, well, Canelo's smaller than Beterbiev, not as strong as him. If he can cause you stress, what can that other guy do to you? And maybe that makes Bivol step up his game, and he comes in there with a better condition, better game plan than he was for Canelo.
He's gonna have to, because that's what Beterbiev does to these guys. It's almost like the Mike Tyson effect, where guys had to train their asses off because they knew they were gonna go in there against a guy that was gonna press him for as long as the fight went. Real quick, shout out to Jesus Pardo for his contribution with the super chat. He says Beterbiev in 9. All right, so another Beterbiev pick right there. Let me just put it in the Hold on a second. Let me write it down here. So, Pardo. No, sorry. What's Jesus? Is it Prado
I
or
might
Pardo?
change my opinion come Friday. I might change my opinion come Friday. All right.
Yeah, I don't think
want to
so,
see the
but-
weigh in.
Yeah, I'm not going to allow that, but you can try if you want.
Well, I'm just not going to give my prediction then.
Well, you already gave it. It's too late. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, but I could see. Yeah, I could see changing the. Shout out to Jesus Pardo, by the way, for his contribution, and everybody who's made their picks so far. I can see.
In the Discord, if I have to.
No, you're right. You're right.
Man, you're just gonna block everything I do. Is that what? That's what's gonna. You're just gonna block it, right?
No. I can see. I can see what you're saying. That Bivol. I can see. I mean, of course, I can see Bivol winning. This is a close fight, and Bivol is.
I don't. Yeah.
Bivol is a master boxer. So if anyone out there can neutralize Beterbiev, it's gonna be him. But again, going back to the Canelo fight, the other thing I didn't like about that fight a little bit was that Canelo was just throwing one punch at a time, beating up on his arm, and there were times in the late rounds where Canelo was exhausted and Bivol would try to reply with combos, and he was flailing. His arms were so it's almost as if maybe that those blows to the arms really did have an effect on him, and he couldn't take it to the next level late in those rounds. And I'm thinking, well, if Canelo's yeah,
Little Canelo, right? I mean, very strong guy, but you have to think he's not as strong as Beterbiev. There's no evidence to suggest that he is.
Well, that's the other thing, though, is Bivol has great head movement. I mean, foot movement. So obviously, I think the onus is for him to stay away from Beterbiev, not become a stationary target, because it's been proven now the guards don't work against Beterbiev. There's just some guys out there that if you put the earmuffs in front of them, they'll just break you apart. Those punches are getting through that guard. So. But Bivol can't do what he was doing against Canelo, which is, backing up to the ropes and putting his earmuffs up. Can't do it. It's not. He's gonna get broken up if he does that. So it's gotta be done in a way that, like when he fought Joe Smith, for example, punches in bunches. He's gonna make Beterbiev respect him. Gotta keep him off balance, and he's got a good shot because again, Beterbiev is 40 years old and he's been suffering a bunch of injuries. So the time is now for Bivol to make it happen. So this is about as close as 50-50 fight as it gets. Fellas, don't forget to hit the like, really helps us out. Shout out to Rafael Garza for reestablishing his membership program. And he says, hold on a second, he says, with Canelo being the gold standard in boxing, there is a reason why Canelo fought Bivol and not Arthur. Arthur for the win against Bivol. All right, so we got another Beterbiev prediction. Rafael Garza, but he's not saying exactly how, but he is picking Beterbiev. Fellas, don't forget to hit the like. Hold on a second. Where were we at? Yeah, when I hear from the Bivol, people picking Bivol, we're not hearing too many people from the Bivol side or the people actually picking Bivol. Again, people make too much big a deal of this predictions. Don't be afraid to go with your gut instinct. If you get the fight wrong, you get the fight wrong. And just because you pick one guy doesn't mean you're saying, oh, well, this guy wins and there's no way the other guy wins. Some people out there make these predictions things seem to be like they're binary. Either you pick this guy or you pick the other guy, and there's no in between. If you pick one guy, that means you're definitely saying, yeah.
Let me give a disclaimer when it comes to making predictions. Nobody cares about you. Just to let you know, nobody cares that much. You're not that important. All right, so if you get it wrong, which is part of the internet. So get over yourself.
Exactly, yeah. People make too big a deal out of these predictions. Now, I know I'm going to open up the phone line soon, but the people who, for anybody who's from England, especially I was waiting for Pigeon to show up, but he never showed up. But we got Apology Man, who I know is on the other side of the Atlantic, so I guess the StreamYard link is for him as well. Apology Man, are you there? Apology Man, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, man. I can hear you.
Oh, apology.
Cool.
Now, where have you...
Time to see, I just came to say hi, really.
Where have you been, young man? We haven't heard from you in a while.
Dealing with some personal stuff, but trying to get back into boxing this year.
personal stuff like Bivol with his wife stuff or something else?
You can say that.
Really? Oh, there you go. Hey, Apology Man got himself a wife, and she turned out to be a crazy one. Good for you, man.
He's living the life, man.
Yeah, it sounds it sounds like you're living the.
That's not. I know he's stressed, but to me, on the outside looking in, it sounds like you're having some fun.
Exactly. Look, you can't. You know what do they say? You can't make an omelet without breaking a couple of eggs. It's the same thing. Sometimes you gotta go with a crackhead or something to have a little fun. I mean, not a crackhead, but you know what I mean, like a crazy broad. They're fun for a while.
You meant
so.
crackhead.
No.
You
What
meant
I'm saying
crackhead.
is, what I'm saying is, sometimes they're a pain in the ass, the crazy ones, but you can have a good time as well. So sometimes it is worth it. But anyway, Apology Man, what's up, man? Well, you got anything on this Bivol Beterbiev fight?
I mean, honestly, I still don't think it's happening. I don't want to curse anything, but until the bell rings, I don't really have a prediction.
Interesting. That's a very black-pilled prediction. You're sort of shitting on the fight, you know, in other words, on the event.
Well, yeah, we get these fights like years later, and they always end up being disappointing. Where was the fight that we got like years later that ended up being good? What was the last one?
The last fight that we thought was going to be good or that we're looking forward to and didn't deliver. I don't know. Like I was telling people in the beginning of the show, I didn't think Fury Usyk was going to be entertaining. And lo and behold, it was. It was an entertaining fight.
That's a good point. Yeah, it was. And we were supposed to have that fight like a couple years ago. So yeah, it was good.
Well, you mean you tell me you weren't super excited for Spence Crawford? Like those American Twitter reporters, so-called reporters who were licking those guys' balls day and night. You weren't excited for that one?
Yeah, it's another one that should have happened years ago.
Ah, there you go.
So,
Apology Man is just intent on shitting on everything boxing. What are you watching? Are you still watching soccer? Is that what you're doing?
I watch UFC more, but even then, they're disappointing me at the moment as well.
You know who's not going to disappoint you?
My girl.
No, the BDA show will never disappoint. That's a guarantee, or your money back. Now, the other thing I wanted to say here is, well, yeah, we got your back. Don't worry about it. Now, what I was going to say is in regards to so what did I say? Okay, yeah, Bivol, the guard, he can't stand there in front of Beterbiev because he just kills guards. This guy just breaks through guards the way Apology breaks through hymens. It can't be stopped. So I would suggest for Bivol, obviously, it's not a rocket science or anything, a secret equation that I'm giving you here. It's don't stand in front of Beterbiev. Common sense. But again, that's the other thing. Throwaway shots. Very few people actually attempt that against Beterbiev. They all try to go all out against the guy to try to deter him from advancing. I think Bivol has the wherewithal, the calm, and the technique to be able to get it done. That's what I think. All right, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be opening up the phone lines.
BDA.
Yes, sir.
Bivol's got to shake that ass, bro. He got to shake his ass up and down the ring. He can't stop 1 second in that fight against Beterbiev.
Are you saying he needs to adopt the ass style to win this fight?
Yes.
Interesting.
The highest tier of the ass style. He has to Shakur Stevenson it.
Oh. All right. Well, there you go. So a couple of low blows, a little clinching. That's what the doctor ordered. All right. Well, listen, Apology Man, you wanna jump on the Discord instead of on the StreamYard here? Oh, his device is disconnected. Apology Man, you wanna jump on the Discord instead of staying here on the StreamYard?
Yeah, I'll see. I just want to say hi, really.
All right. Well, hello to you, Apology Man. And by the way, I'm going to be doing the special edition of the Second Renaissance soon, Halloween edition. So there's going to be a couple of shows maybe where there's open panel, and I want people to jump in, and we just shoot the S, as they say, about all sorts of subjects, Halloween related, paranormal, occult. Yeah.
How dare you use that term?
Yeah,
it's gross.
On YouTube or Rumble?
Rumble.
Okay, cool.
All right, Apology Man. Well, listen, if you still have your Discord information, make sure to log in to send me a DM and I'll send you the link. All right, man?
Yeah, all right.
All right, man. Take it easy out there. Yeah, you got to keep in mind, You got to keep in mind, he's in the UK. He's 5 hours ahead. That's why he might explain why he's sounding a little low energy. But also, he might be.
Well, then he's dealing with a girl. He's dealing with a chick that's similar to what
Katrina
Bivol is dealing with right now with his ex-wife. So I could drain some energy too.
Well, you know, we had Hurricane Katrina about 18.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio.
The fuck? We had Hurricane Katrina about 19 years ago. I think for Bivol, he's got a hurricane of his own in the form of his crazy ex. Oh, but again, I don't know if she's crazy or not. I just don't know who to believe in this, and it's not my place to.
No, she's crazy. I'm gonna tell you why she's crazy. Now, I'm not saying that Bivol didn't do some fucked up shit. He might have, because I don't care, but usually there's always two sides to the story, right? Usually we always saying that about the woman, but in this case, she's being more vocal. She seems like the crazy one. Maybe Bivol did some fucked up shit, but she's crazy because she has a kid or kids with this guy, and she's thinking about herself right now. She's not thinking about when those kids hit a certain age and they have their own thoughts and they start reminiscing about the past, when they start nitpicking about what parent is the better parent, right? They're gonna remember this shit.
All I'm gonna say, recognize, and it's true. That's what tends to happen in these type of situations. But don't be surprised if all of a sudden Dmitry Bivol's ex-wife all of a sudden starts her OnlyFans account, because that's what it seems like to me. That she's really trying hard to get her face.
So what you're saying is fuck all that philosophy shit you were kicking. At the end of the day, she's gonna be an OnlyFans girl.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I understand what you were saying about the kids are gonna feel it because the parents tend to try to get them.
All that. OF is her future.
OF. Because really, she's trying to put herself out there way too much, and it could just be to try to hurt Bivol, but it could also mean because she wants a little attention too. I don't know. Sober said that imagine if she shows up next to Beterbiev. Now, I don't think Beterbiev seems like the type of guy that would never do something like that, but do you think that would be enough to cause a professional fighter like Bivol to lose his shit in the ring?
And he's a human being, bro. Is it possible? Of course, bro. Absolutely.
There you go. Every man...
Yeah, she could just do something that she knows pisses him off right before the fight happens. She's already been doing it, right? Maybe she stays quiet for a little bit and she's like, oh, that fight's tomorrow? I know what I'm going to do today.
Oh. Imagine she shows up at the fight uninvited and tries to jump into the ring. Or she starts heckling. Yeah. She starts heckling Bivol nonstop. I remember there was a guy, it was Winky Wright versus
I want that piece. I want a piece of that fucking Canelo payday, you motherfucker. Give it to me now.
Yeah. I remember there was Winky Wright when he fought Icorte in 2006. It was I think it was in Florida. I forget where it was, but not a lot of people showed up. So you could actually hear the crowd a little bit more. So I don't know, this dude sounded like a fat dude. Probably got close to a microphone or something. And he would yell nonstop, heckling Icorte. He would heckle Icorte nonstop. And he all throughout the fight, you heard him screaming, Icorte, Icorte. Bazooka! You ain't got it, boy. You ain't got it. And then again, he would restart. It nonstop. I'm telling you, to the point where a Ring TV writer actually wrote about that the day after the fight, going, "Who the fuck was this guy? And can we get security to escort him out the building the next time?" Because it was nonstop. That was the worst heckling I've ever heard in terms of volume, decibel volume.
Sometimes they do that purposely. Sometimes they'll get somebody to come into these little ass arenas and just make a fucking, they just heckle one fighter. So keep, maybe they could distract them.
Well, by the way, the phone lines are open. People, if you want to call in, the phone number is right there in the left-hand middle portion of your screen. And yeah, you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if they do that, recognize, because, it can affect the guys sometimes. Fighters say that they zone out and they only hear their trainer's voice during a fight, but they're human. Like you said, they're humans. They're probably listening to other stuff as well. Another dude that used to do that was brother Nassim Richardson. He would, every time Hopkins would land a shot, he would go, oh, trying to really emphasize the point that his guy got a punch in, which was funny because he was doing it for Chad Dawson versus Hopkins. And in the first 3 rounds, they were competitive. But then Chad Dawson just took over. He was just too young and too quick for Hopkins. And I remember by the 10th round or something, Hopkins went back to his corner, and Asim Richardson starts giving him instructions, and his voice was so hoarse from screaming. He's like, "All right, X, you gotta keep throwing that jab, baby." And I'm thinking, I was laughing my ass off because there you go. You tried. He had to double up on the screaming, and he ended up frying his voice because of all that.
Himself.
Yeah,
he hurting himself.
he ended up. I think he ended up hurting himself, man. He was probably puking blood the next day. Come on, X. And by the way, shout out to Rapax Trucking Company for rejoining the membership program. Shout out to him. Really appreciate it. And he says maybe he let his foot off the machismo pedal and she fell apart from that lack of guidance. Telling her how to dress, when to talk, and stuff like that. That's a very poignant point right there, Rapax. That is an excellent point, man, because women loathe a guy that's indecisive. Women loathe a guy, the nice guy. That's now there's an expression out there now when girls go, the guy gave me the ick. You know, the ugh. You know, like when women are discussed, they call that now the ick. When a guy does something that turns them off, you know, whether they're too nice or whether whatever. And it's true, maybe Bivol, because I remember there was a feature on HBO they did about Bivol, and he's in his hotel room for a fight, and he's talking to his kids via the phone, and his wife is there, you know, at the time it seemed like everything was hunky-dory, and he's talking to his kids, and then Bivol goes, you know, they're interviewing him, and he goes, you know, my kids, I have one that's 3, and the other one's 1 or whatever, and he goes, the hardest part is not watching them grow up. And he started breaking down. And I said, "Oh boy, I that's probably what got that's probably the pinpoint moment where his wife looked at him. Yeah, his wife went there.
Yeah.
Don't show these women any weaknesses, is what we're trying to say.
These girls are serpents, man. You better be careful. Don't show her everything. Show her.
I mean, don't show them. Look, listen. Women, I hate to turn this into this type of show, but women, for the most part, they want resources. When they look at a guy, the reason why they want him to be strong and assertive and blah, blah, blah is because they want that dude to carry on the genes via a kid and that he can protect the kid and the family. So any type of behavior that shows weaknesses, and by the way, women aren't sure that they're calculating all of this. This is all done subconsciously via genetic programming. So when they see a guy crying or being way too nice or too complimentary, that's why I hate to say it, but there's a certain amount of truth to that when they say treat them like shit, and they will flock to you like flies on shit, because it's true. But what was I going to say? Back to the boxing here. Well, okay, so I think we said it all, right, about this Bivol Beterbiev fight. Worst case scenario, we'll be back tomorrow or another day, and we'll do a little film analysis to try to really hammer home some of the points that we made today. But just to clarify, Sobers, are you still there? What was your official prediction then? Come on.
He's not sober.
He's not sober, yeah. And he's not confident in his predictions anymore. That's what it sounds like to me. Yeah. Sergeant in the chat makes a good point. Sergeant in the chat says, you got to be like Monzon, Carlos Monzon, who ended up throwing his wife off a balcony. Yeah, man, I mean, sometimes, I'm not saying you have to go to... I'm not saying you have to go to that extreme, but there was a reason why women flocked to the guy. He looked like a caveman, so that turned on their cave woman programming. Like, oh, this guy can protect the family or whatever. But it's just, you got to be moderate with it too. Can't be tossing women off balconies. That's a big bozo no-no right there. The other thing I wanted to say is, again, remind people that the phone lines are open, so make sure to call in. Phone number is right there in the left-hand middle portion of your screen. Now, I received a communique from the one and only Gonzalo a couple of weeks ago, and he had this to say about Beterbiev. He said, or the Beterbiev fight rather. What did he say? Okay, he said Beterbiev finishes Bivol in the 12th round, possibly 11th. His inactivity is against him, but he isn't going to take that chance. He's coming in as close to 100% as he can. Zigzag attack. Hooks off the front foot and sitting on the back foot. See, that's classic Canelo right there. I should actually try to read in his voice. Mr. BDA, zigzag attack. Hook off the front foot. Anyway, he's saying zigzag attack. Hook off his front foot and sitting on the back foot.
BDA.
while really downloading the play. And then he said, BDA, he's in better health than Beterbiev. I think he's talking about Bivol. Ring rust altogether, Beterbiev only has lost 5 fights in his entire lifetime career. He's talking about, professional and amateurs. Or amateurs, rather. I don't know, man. He says, Beterbiev zigzags his way in. Imagine a straight bullet. How do you dodge and weave in, figuratively speaking? All right, that's classic Canelo right there. He says, because Bivol isn't KOing Bivol. He hasn't KO'd an opponent in 7 years. Well, I mean, he's forgetting that he KO'd Gaddafi or stopped him in his last fight. But I mean, that's one in the last, 6 years. Well, the guy that looked like Gaddafi in his last fight. The Arab guy.
Okay, I got you. I was going to say, that was him? That was fucked up. But anyway, go ahead.
No. He didn't kill Gaddafi. NATO didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, NATO didn't send. NATO didn't send Bivol to.
You don't remember? He's the one who shoved that bayonet up his ass.
Come on, jeez, Luis.
Oh man, Jesus Christ.
So that's Gazelle's prediction. His gut feeling too is Beterbiev by stoppage. But again, it remains to be seen. It's a 50-50 fight, that's for sure. So tomorrow or maybe day after tomorrow, whatever, try to do a live film analysis on this, because it is the type of fight that deserves a film analysis. And I can't stress that enough. All right, let's move on to something else. And we've spent an hour and a half talking about Bivol Beterbiev. Let's talk about Crawford and Teofimo Lopez going after each other on Twitter. Apparently, Teofimo Lopez keeps hunting for a Crawford fight, and Crawford fight has to be the rare fighter that won't stop talking about how great he is. This dude is tweeting nonstop, like a woman as well, going back and forth, talking about how people don't appreciate how great he is. And he's saying he doesn't want to fight Teofimo Lopez. But here's my thing about it. And I want to hear from you guys, obviously, but just real quick. I don't know who to side with in this little conundrum. It's a little bit embarrassing that grown men are going back and forth on Twitter like women. However, Teofimo Lopez, we all know he's not a star. He can't fill up the Madison Square Garden theater, even though he's from New York. He's fought some of the best guys out there, and he still can draw flies. I think he doesn't do that bad on ESPN. But Crawford can't really counter and say, I'm a bigger star than you, because he recently fought Madrimov on a stacked card and it bombed. They had to paper the crowd with a bunch of celebrities to make it seem like it was a big event, for the mainstream guy. For us, it was a big event because they give us fantastic fights on that undercard. But Crawford has that personality of a dead moth. He doesn't draw flies either. He only fights once a year. And he's got an adversarial relationship with the media and with fans, as you can see. He's always talking about how people don't appreciate blah, blah, blah. Why shouldn't he fight Teofimo Lopez? They're not that far away from box office appeal. So, guys, what do you think about this little brouhaha that's going on between those two, between Teofimo Lopez and Crawford?
It's like a soap opera. But, look, man, if he really wants to fight him, Crawford should say, okay, come up and fight me. Call his bluff. At the very least, don't just say, dismiss the fight totally and say, "Oh, I'm not fighting him." It kind of makes you look like a chump, like you're afraid.
Oh,
plenty of guys coming up in weight have fought bigger guys that were more established. That's just the game of boxing. Say, okay, I'm calling your bluff. Come up and wait and fight me. That's it.
That's a great. That's the recognize the Matrix way right there. He's not running away from the Matrix.
You know what I would do? Tell him. I'll say I'll fight you in New York too.
Oh,
I'll fight you right in New York in the Garden.
Well, I mean, but who does Crawford want to fight then? Because the Sheik said a couple of weeks ago after the Madrimov fight, he said, we'd like to see him fight Tim Tszyu and all those guys, but I don't think he'd want to. And I remember I said during the show, I said, what led the Sheik to believe that Crawford wouldn't want those fights? Because now Crawford, the thing that people have been saying for weeks now is that Crawford is begging for a Canelo fight. And Crawford now came out on Twitter.
To catch out. That's what that sounds like to me. He's ready. I think that Madrimov fight, if you really look at that fight, and I think he did well considering who he was up against, and I'm talking about Crawford, but you can see decline, or as he goes up in weight and fighting guys who are comfortable at their weight class, I'll just leave it at that. He's going to start noticing that he can't walk through these guys. All right? Because he's at least as big as Madrimov. All this nonsense. Yeah, technically he went up in weight, but Madrimov is not a bigger man than he is.
That's right.
Like you could just it's called Oh, how can you say that? Who am I going to believe? What you want the world to believe, or my own eyes?
That's right.
They're the same fucking size. That's what they
Well,
were.
recognize. Actually, Crawford's longer, taller, and he came in officially heavier on fight night.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so and I remember that too. You're right. He did come in a couple of pounds heavier than Madrimov. So I think that he saw that fight and said, "Yeah, I'm not walking through these dudes like a hot knife through butter, the way I did it at welterweight. There's gonna be some resistance here, which means there's a good chance I could lose for less money. So I want to push the Canelo fight, where if I do lose, it's gonna be for more likely the biggest payday of his career." Or at least that's how he sees it. So that's why he's probably saying, I don't want to fight Tim Tszyu. I don't want to fight guys like that. Guys where the reward at the end is not as lucrative as, losing to Canelo. Because make no mistake about it, Canelo beats him. Like, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. He goes in there, he fights Canelo, and Canelo's not drained or anything like that, and he's allowed to rehydrate comfortably. Canelo stops this dude.
Well, I was
No
going to
doubt
say
about it.
too. Speaking of the Canelo fight, it's the fact that Crawford. People. We've all suspected that he wants that Canelo fight. He just recently came out because Teofimo Lopez started calling him out on that, saying, you want to chase Canelo up the weight divisions, and you make it seem like he owes you that fight, but you don't want to fight me, who would also become something like that. He said, and Crawford said, Crawford started actually addressing that, saying, "I am begging for no Canelo fight." But again, the Sheik said he probably wouldn't accept any of the fights we're offering him. He doesn't appear to want to fight Teofimo Lopez. He doesn't want to fight Jaron Ennis. So who does he want to fight then? That's my question.
So, time to cash out.
I mean, this is a guy that.
There's a reason he's only specifically asking for Canelo.
Real quick, this is the guy. This is the same Crawford. This is the same guy that before the Porter fight, he said he was okay with his career. That if he were to retire the next day, he thought he was an all-time great or something like that. He said. I mean, this dude's a little bit. People have been saying, "Oh, BDA, what?" I don't hate the guy. I don't hate Crawford, but I do sort of. I'm not a fan of his character. And people, because he was being besmirched by the PBC, people chose sides. But I think now people are starting to realize this guy's a little bit out there with a diva mentality. And people started seeing that too in 2023 when Inoue, people were debating about whether it was going to be Inoue or him fight of the year. And he started actually, the first time I've ever seen a fighter on Twitter going in public saying, "No, you vote for me, guys," like it was a school election or something. I don't know, but it was weird.
He wanted to be the prom queen, BDA.
That's a way to make a guy not vote for you.
He wanted to be the belle of the ball.
I was thinking about vote for you, but now that you did this on Twitter, I'm not voting for you.
There you go, yeah. And by the way, Official Scorecard Boxing in the chat says that Crawford now appears to be acting the same way Spence was acting towards him before their fight. Just blocking him off fights. Keeping him out of the radar. I don't know. It's just weird, man. But what were you gonna say, Sober? Sorry, man.
I was gonna say, you're so pertaining to this Teofimo and Crawford potentially seeing each other. And that comment that Teofimo made about, whichever monkey wants a banana. That I didn't think that would make waves, but I was listening to another show. Shout out to the Boxing Voice. A lot of the callers are Afro Anglos. Mm-hmm. They are mad. BDA. A lot of people are mad. They're like, "Yo, don't even fight him. He's a racist. He doesn't even deserve the money. Why would you even put him? Why would you even put money in his pocket after what he said?" They wanted him in jail. They wanted him beaten. They're really upset about those comments. And Crawford, I don't know if he's taking that into consideration or what, but I mean, really, that's fuel to the fire. He should use that and take that as a catalyst. And use that to sell the fight with his people and make some money, bro. What the fuck you doing?
Yeah, why not? And it's interesting because people pointed out on Twitter the fact that when Crawford fought Benavidez Jr. about, I want to say 8 years ago now, he told him, remember they had a little altercation at the gym, and Crawford told him, "I'm going to beat the burritos out of you." Now, somebody posted that on Twitter, and of course, there's always going to be people defending one side or the other, and people were saying, "Oh, no, but that was only after Benavidez Jr. instigated him." And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. I've heard people get angry at, let's say, Afro Angles. Let's just take Afro Angles, for example, calling them the N-word. Like, for example, Haymanites. Haymanites is a guy that people were always going after him, the Floyd fans back in the day. and they were because Jimenez is half Asian. He's a Hapa. And they kept calling him, they kept throwing him racist Asian memes, saying that his mother was a prostitute, like, in Full Metal Jacket, Miso Honey and all that. So he finally said, you want to play that game? And he called one of those guys the N-word. So what did? They captured it. They screen captured it. And every time, every once in a while, you'll see somebody in his comments saying, don't reply to this guy. He's a racist. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. So whenever somebody uses the N-word, it's like, oh, that's unacceptable. No matter what a guy does to you, it's always unacceptable to use the N-word as
That's always the lowest of the low BDA. You deserve to die.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's worse.
Bro,
but that's the worst thing. Look, listen, I am not aghast by the comments that, let's say, Devin Haney made about, I would never listen to a white guy. I am not aghast about the comments that Crawford made about beat the burritos out of you. That's actually kind of funny. And I'm also not aghast then, by extension, about what Teofimo Lopez said about the monkey thing, because it could have been taken out of context. I don't know. You'd have to ask him. But the point is, words aren't that bad. But nowadays, people make it. I don't know if you saw the news. Ryan Garcia has been taken off that Undisputed game because of his. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. Why don't they take off Tank Davis because of what he did? You know what I mean? So in other words, let's keep it consistent. If you want to feel offended by what people said, fine. I'm all for that. You have the right to be offended. But what worries me in the social fabric nowadays is the fact that people actually get more offended over words than they do over actions. In other words, Tank Davis can run over a pregnant lady, walk away when she's bleeding, asking for help. He actually looks at her in the eyes and then runs away. That's not as bad as saying something racial. I mean, I don't know. To me, that's weird and it's dangerous. I hope I'm not exaggerating too much.
First, they don't care about
it's bitch made BDA,
right? Like, for me, I felt like what Devin Haney and his boys did was a racial attack against that Mexican kid or that Latino kid, whatever he was. And I'm Hispanic. I feel offended.
On some real shit, recognized, but no one's ever gonna say that shit.
But no, I want something done. I'm speaking from the BDA show. I want something done. I want him suspended. Suleiman, I want Devin Haney suspended from boxing.
He's never gonna do that.
Drop him off your radio. I feel like in my evidence that it was a racial attack, they're black and he wasn't. That's my evidence.
Recognize. This is what Mauricio Juliman is going to tell you. He recognized you'd right to be insulted, but we're not going to do shit. That's what he's going to tell you. He's
going to fight Ryan Garcia again, bro. That's what they need to do.
He's going to tell you in Spanish, chinga tu madre. That's what he's going to tell you. So, yeah, man. No, but you're right. But listen, again, I want to reiterate my point and to piggyback off what Recognize said. People have the right to be offended. But again, I just want to reiterate that it's weird to me that people get up more in arms over these racial comments than they do guys actually beating up on their wives, running over pregnant women and running away. I mean, come on. If that doesn't get you banned from a video game, then how are words going to get you banned then?
It goes to show you where the priority is. And I remember somebody called your show, a black dude from what I remember, and he got offended by me asking him this question, and I meant it. That was years ago. BDA, you might remember.
What'd you ask him?
When he was making, these dudes are racist. It was about some type of race. It was racism against black people. And he was making an accusation that somebody was racist. And I said, let me ask you a question. Which one's worse? A racist or a pedophile? And he got super offended that I asked him that question. But I meant it back then. And it's still today. So my point of bringing that up is you can see, right, that if you're considered a racist, especially anything towards, a perceived a group of people that are constantly, there's injustice towards them, right? Right away, that's condemned. That's terrible. That's this, that's that. But you can hit somebody with your car because you're drunk and run from the scene, and they'll cover it up.
They can't wait for you to do it. Like they're praying you do it. I had people tell me, I want you to do it. They'll tell you, I want you to say it. Like, no, come on, bro. Like, I'm not that ignorant.
We got Frank on the channel. Shout out to Frank for jumping in.
Which makes it.
Yeah, no, you're right, man.
Thank you.
Some people want to have that victim mentality, but look, listen, it's true. And people, I've heard people ask why is Devin Haney so hated? And Ryan Garcia, the guy who actually cheated and said racial slurs, why does he have more support? Well, first of all, Haney has said racial things. That's number one, and he's done plenty to turn people off of him. Him and his former drug dealer of a father. So let's not. But that's why I understand. I don't understand how people try to play sides and go. I don't understand why Haney's so hated. If you really don't know the history of Haney, then I guess you should watch some of our videos that detail the whole his whole party lifestyle. Well, not party lifestyle, but he's gone on the rampage a little bit too himself with his comments. So I don't know. Look, again, people have the right to be offended by whatever they want, but when they make it out to be, like Rick and I said, that words, the ultimate sin is to say something racist, especially against one demographic. And, Crawford, because that's what Crawford said. He was on a video, on an interview recently saying, oh, if I would have said what, or Shakur Stevenson would have said what Teofimo Lopez said, we would be finished. And I'm thinking, no, that's not true, because you did say something racist 8 years ago, and nobody commented on it. Very few, nobody from the mainstream media or the boxing media, Twitter media, whatever, picked up on it. They let you go. They let it slide. So there is a double standard. You're absolutely right. But it's not against the privilege is not for the people that you're thinking it is for. It's for another demographic.
Yeah, it only works one way. When you pull the race card, you pretty much lose when you pull the race card. But, only one certain people can pull it. Canelo, Crawford had said Canelo don't want to fight black fighters. Arabs are racist. So it only works one way, and we just have to accept it.
And it can't backfire. It can't backfire.
And then on top of that, they make false accusations. Canelo doesn't want to fight black fighters. How many black fighters has he fought? How many black fighters do you need him to fight to not say something as stupid as that? Like it's ignorant, man.
But it goes back to Nui. They were saying that about Nui. It was Triple G. The list is probably endless. So
yeah,
you get any guy that has an ass style and any Mexican or fighter that you don't want to face him. I mean, I've heard and seen it, since listening to this stuff.
All right, now I want to talk about something else here, because that Crawford Lopez thing, we're running out of time, but there's a lot to talk about. We've been away for more than a week, so we're catching up on a lot of subjects here. I want to hit on something here. Clapback Thursdays from Oscar De La Hoya. Clapback Thursdays, which is what he used to do almost every day when his prime. He was clapping cheeks every day. Now he's clapping back on Thursdays. And here's the thing about it. For people that don't know what Clapback Thursdays is, he's got this thing on Twitter where every Thursday he'll rail against somebody. And he was railing over the Eddie Hearn about a week ago, saying, Eddie Hearn, you've lost all your fighters. Joshua just lost. You don't have anybody. And Eddie Hearn clapped back at him. And he made a good point. He said, this guy's always got this fake smile, trying to hide the fact that he's not a fucking addict, coke addict, alcohol addict, whatever. Right? You name it, he's addicted to it. And he said it's kind of lame. And I said, you know what? I don't want to pick sides. These promoters, they're all snakes. I like some of them more than I like the others. And in this case, I have to side a little bit more with Eddie Hearn, because, yeah, it's true. Oscar De La Hoya has always been a guy who's very careful about what he says. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, BDA, isn't that what you're supposed to do? Aren't you supposed to think before you speak? Yes, but hear me out. De La Hoya was the golden goose, like Sugar Ray Leonard. And what did they both have in common? They were addicts, and they were actually quite disagreeable in person. But they put up this facade because they had these endorsements and they were mainstream stars. They put up this facade that they were nice all-American guys, and they're not. And that's what irks me, and always has irked me about De La Hoya. The fact that the true De La Hoya would come out, like when he was having a riff with Bob Arum in the early 2000s, and he beat him in court. He beat Bob Arum in court, and then he said, Bob Arum's angry at me because I beat the biggest Jew to come out of Harvard. And that was a whole controversy. De La Hoya had to apologize for it. De La Hoya had to apologize for it. Or when he said in the build-up to the Whitaker fight, he said, I'm going to beat Whitaker, he said, because, and I quote, black guys can't take it to the body. Black fighters can't take it to the body. And he got in trouble for that as well. And that was in 1997 when he wasn't as PC as we are now. So my thing is, that's the real Oscar De La Hoya. I'd rather have that dude be real than this fake smiling, you know what's going on? And then the other thing that bothers me is this. He's trying to act all irreverent and crazy, like a maniac, out of control. Meanwhile, he's in AA. He's in recovery for the rest of his life. So you can't have it both ways. You can't act like a maniac and then not actually be an addict. Either go all the way in and be
in rehab.
So what do you guys think? Am I crazy in thinking that De La Hoya's fakeness is a little bit hard to swallow?
He's a little weird, but She
Yeah, I
gotta
always
take him.
think
He's just like a character.
weak,
He's like a
bro.
caricature of himself now. So she got to take him like
Yeah,
that.
I mean he's
I
earned
like
it, right?
I like personally like overall I like De La Hoya. Like his
Yeah, he's
career,
alright.
his promoter and all that shit. Like I would say that I like him. But yeah, of course he's annoying. Of course he's a hypocrite. They all are, bro. All these dudes are. When they start getting money, and I'm talking about the fighters, the promoters, they all don't take them too serious, bro. They're hypocrites. When they have to be a hypocrite, they will be. You know, some are just more than others. And De La Hoya is one of those guys that, you know, he gets high. I don't know what he's doing, man. He's got a funny looking girlfriend. You know, he's got fake abs and shit. You know,
Oh yeah,
the guy's all
no,
over
well,
the place, man.
he said he wasn't. He said they're not fake abs. He said he had a procedure where they sucked the fat out of the
You know what I mean, like,
outline
yeah,
of the
like-
episode. Yeah, which I don't know, man.
Yeah, I
They-
think
they-
it's. I mean, would you want to be Oscar's friend? Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be fun to hang out with Oscar De La Hoya. Just don't take any drinks from him. You know, get your own.
no,
drinks. I think it'd be fun. No, I
Oh,
mean,
boy.
it'd be fun to be his friend, right? I mean, it would be fun to hang out with
What
him.
did you say? Like, look, I wouldn't mind being friends with De La Hoya, but I'm not going to take everything he says seriously. Also, at the
Oh
same
no,
time,
but that's the point I was gonna lead to. Like, okay, cool, hang out with them, boxing personality, but do you want this guy promoting you? If you're a fighter and you can sign with the guy, who would you rather sign with? Would you take De La Hoya seriously? I mean, he has a track record of building fighters, but then he also has an ugly track record of bad breakups.
Well, Frank, I got to question your judgment a little bit because I remember about 6 years ago you said you would be willing to party with P Diddy. So now, I mean, it's not looking too.
Whoa!
Your
Don't
judgment is a
bring that
little.
up.
I mean, I'm just saying.
But I never made it famous, so obviously I did it, BDA. You know,
You are famous.
Like
You're famous.
biggest boxing.
You're famous where it counts. You're famous where it counts, and that's right here.
Whoa! This is what I come here for.
Did Frank tweet out, "Ain't no party like a Diddy party"? Did he?
No, wait a minute.
It's been erased. That never happened.
You guys, do you guys think De La Hoya's been to one of these parties?
Yes,
For sure.
absolutely, man.
Notice how BDA got silent, bro. I know it's hard for him to accept because he grew up, idolizing this guy.
No. First of all, I never idolize. It's a good joke. It's a good joke. I give you props, but I was never really a big De La Hoya fan. I was more of a, I was a Chavez fan. I was actually rooting for Fernando Vargas against him, even though Fernando Vargas he was a little bit too much of a thug for my liking. But listen,
If he could make this kid. Wish he never, whatever the fuck Jim Lampley was on, boy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when he had him on the ropes. Yeah, that Jim Lampley back then, he was on some good stuff.
That
Man.
was his worst moment on live because he loved De La Hoya. He had like a man crush on De La Hoya. There was no doubt about it.
Well, wait a minute.
I think he hated Fernando Vargas. Because Fernando Vargas was kind of like an asshole. Yeah, he didn't shake my hand when I was a kid. So fuck him. But hey, he got the fight, right? So give him credit. Like,
hold on. Recognize. Are you saying that Jim Lampley moment was worse than this?
Polovkin, here
Hold on.
I come. Bang! And when Pat wanted to
Yeah, that was bad.
That's my favorite Jim Lampley moment.
Bang.
Hey, I copied that move. I took that move.
You gonna throw some time? Bang!
That was when he was watching De La Hoya.
Horrible moments on live.
That was when he was watching De La Hoya in the hotel room too.
You wanna throw some time? Bang!
Bang! He was banging away, man.
Bang! Keep coming!
Keep coming. Yeah, that's what he was telling De La Hoya. Keep coming. Come on, you can do it. The Viagra hasn't worn off. Keep coming. But
Keep coming.
hey, hold on. Somebody's. I think I have to read a couple of super chats maybe that I missed. All right. Shout out to Rapax Trucking Company for his contribution with the super chat. He says, what's he saying? He says, cut De La Hoya some slack. He was not on video with PD or any dude. That's true. That's true. The worst you can say about De La Hoya is that, well, they cut him with the women's clothing. But come on, I mean, that's if he would have been dressed in women's clothing with another guy, then it would have been a problem. Well, he was with a whore, a female whore.
How would your friends treat you? I don't think I could go around my friends or family.
I don't think I could go around my friends after that shit.
I'd kind of have to just leave.
Like, okay, You after doing that, you know how you with your friends, you like to goof around, make jokes.
Yeah, right.
You say something funny, but they're laughing with you. Well, you're laughing the hardest, but they're laughing with you, and they both look at each other, right? And you're just like, oh shit, I forgot that these two motherfuckers saw me in women lingerie.
Ooh, no, 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 no. Your
It's a
grandma,
wrap.
everybody, do your uncles. Sheesh.
Well, yeah, that's it.
So
That's all. I mean,
they
this.
wait for you to get your joke off, and they're like, okay, yeah. How's those lingerie coming along, bro? Do you still go shopping at Victoria's Secrets?
You know what? Hey, listen. If you guys keep talking like that, Pidge is not gonna show up. All right. I'm still waiting for him on stream here. So you guys better lay off that. Here's the other thing I want to talk about. So it's official now. Tank Davis is going to be fighting Lamont Roach in December.
Oh,
and
so
you can
excited.
expect another great undercard of guys that haven't fought in over 2 years. I don't know who's next. Gary Russell Jr. on the undercard, or maybe Leo Santa Cruz is going to be under. Maybe Abner Maris. You never know. It's going to be a PBC card. But I will say this: now that the Tank Davis fans are, because people are complaining about this fight on Twitter, they're shitting on it, and the Tank Davis fans are trying to make it like, well, Tank Davis, Lomachenko docked him, and nobody really wanted to fight him, so he had no choice. So they're defending the fight. They're defending, they're justifying it, saying, well, or excusing it, saying, well, he couldn't fight anybody. So by extension, they're admitting that this fight is crap. And here's my thing about it. I'm not gonna get into the whole, who's at fault for the fight, the Lomachenko fight not happening, blah blah blah. If he wanted to fight Lomachenko, he could have fought him 6 years ago. He didn't. Now Lomachenko's giving him a taste of his own medicine. However, I will say this: the fact that people are saying, trying to justify the fight happening, and like I said, tacitly they're admitting then that this is a crap fight. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. Then what does that say about Tank Davis? When his fans always kept saying, whenever Shakur Stevenson called him out, or Devin Haney called him out, or even like guys like Abdullah Mason or some of these other prospects, people always used to say, Keyshawn Davis rather, and the fans always used to say, the Tank Davis fans always used to say, oh, look at this guy's calling out Tank Davis. They need him. He doesn't need them. Now they're starting to realize that he's not a star. He needs them as much as they need him. Because look at him now. Who's he fighting? If he's not fighting Lomachenko or Shakur Stevenson, who's he fighting? He's fighting a guy that it's going to be another flop. Just like the Rolly Romero fight was a flop, just like the Tank De Los Santos, not De Los Santos, excuse me, Hector Luis Garcia, just like his last fight against Frank Martin. The only one that really did well was a Ryan Garcia fight. So he needs guys. Yeah. Why do we keep hearing about Tank Davis being the face of boxing? He needs these guys. He can do well without a big name. He's not like Canelo who can at least survive. I know Never Sobers disagrees that he didn't do 600,000 pay-per-view buys, but that's what they're saying it did. That they did okay for him fighting a nobody.
Is that who's saying that? Who's saying that number? Is that you saying that number, BDA? Because
no, that was. What did you say that he was?
That's way more than Tank ever did by himself. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So
and that's the elephant. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Oh no, that's the elephant in the room, just off the bat, because it's what it's going to turn. What about Canelo and Berlanga? Well, I don't remember. I mean, I'm a Canelo fan, and I don't remember saying that was a great fight. I say it what it is. He does what he wants. He's earned it.
Mm-hmm.
So, because that's all people are going to go to. They go, what about Berlanga? As well, he did exceptionally well with Berlanga, but Tank Davis has not earned it.
That's right.
Accolades wise. Now maybe he is a mini face of boxing, right? He can do 200, which is I think good numbers in today's era. But that level opponent, not even in the division, is just an awful look.
I mean, I keep saying it, man. That's what I want to emphasize on too. That the fact that this dude cannot draw flies, so he needs Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, and all these other guys as much as they need him. People need to stop pretending like Tank Davis does what he wants and he can be a powerhouse, rock star, box office star by himself. Oh, we got the Pigeon dropping by. The one and only. There's only one Pigeon. What's up, Pigeon?
Only one Pigeon.
Yo, facts, bro. We're talking with the BDA. Listen, bro. This Tank guy's been like fucking swerving shit for ages. Listen, I was doing a live earlier.
How many people were there, by the way? Because I know you have big numbers.
Yo, listen to this, BD. I was doing a live earlier. I was disgusted at the fact that fucking Morales got dumped for Eddie Cockroach for Jaime Munguia's trainer, bro. Pre the fucking Canelo fight, yeah. Listen. I got a
What?
lot
Wait,
of
did he cut
things that I
off?
want
I
to
thought it
get
was
off
me.
my chest tonight on this panel. Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I
Can
can
still
hear you. I
hear
don't
me?
know. Yeah. Keep going.
Let me just turn my Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
I got a lot of things that I want to get off my chest today. Like I want to get a lot of things off my chest today. One of the things is Freddie Cockroach, Freddie fucking Roach. Yeah, I want to get. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I want to get this off my fucking. I want to get off my chest, bro.
Go ahead.
And I'm gonna go out and get. I want to get off my fucking chest, bro. Listen, I did a fucking panel earlier with this fucking piece of shit, yeah. This fucking Freddie Cockroach, yeah. Freddie Roach.
Oh shit.
I want to get this fuck. Oh yeah, it's gonna go, bro. Listen, listen. Fucking Morales been training fucking Munguia, yeah. I don't know if you can hear me because my reception's really bad. Like,
I hear you.
I'm an English guy.
I hear you.
But I spend most of my life in Algeria, yeah. So I don't know if you can hear me. Listen to this.
That's a non sequitur, but go ahead, man, go ahead.
Yeah, I got it, like, BD, I got to get off my fucking chest, bro. This Freddie fucking Cockroach, yeah. He fucking left Munguia pre the fucking Ryder fight before Canelo, and no, I'm saying fucking Morales, and this fucking Cockroach, this Mr. Eddie fucking Freddie Cockroach, Irish people can't box. So listen,
Oh shit.
this fucking fool, listen to this, bro. This fucking Freddie Cockroach, this Irish American bum who got his face kicked in for like 50 fights, he's trying to train Munguia. And then he takes over Munguia's fucking reign and he loses the first fight, bro.
Happens.
That's exactly. Can you still hear me?
Of course, yeah. We're here.
So let me take this to next level.
Go ahead.
So listen, Munguia had the first 45 fights unbeaten, and then Freddie Cockroach turns up. He loses the next fight against Canelo, bro.
Right.
Damn.
I mean, some people would say that's a false correlation, but I think you're onto something.
You don't think it has something to do
I'm
with just
fucking
Canelo?
onto something, bro. I'm gonna put my face on here, bro. I'm gonna put my face. It's fucking obvious. It's obvious, bro. Listen. Whenever Freddie Cockroach turns up to a fight, and I'm going back to Morales against Pacquiao 1. I'm going back to real fucking boxing. Morales Pacquiao 1. We can even go back to Salvador Sanchez against Pat Caldao 1. 1981. We can go back. We can take this right back to whenever a real fucking shit turns up, there's always corruption.
Hey, listen, Pigeon,
There's
listen.
always corruption.
What you're saying could sound like a false correlation, but I think you're onto something here. I think when the Pigeon talks, people speak. But what I'm saying, Pigeon, is I will have
pissed off, bro.
I do take umbrage, though, on the fact that you said that Irish people can't fight. I mean, Irish people have a strong fighting lineage, whether it's in actual...
no, they can't.
I don't know. This sounds like to me. It sounds to me like. Sounds like to me like it sounds like British imperialist bias to me, man. That's what it sounds like. That's coming out of your mouth right now, in regards to the Irish. Pigeon, are you still there?
He was raised in Algeria. Think about that. So you definitely
Yeah,
have bias towards
Pigeon, are you still there?
mindset, yeah.
Pigeon,
None. There's
are you?
none.
And just to be fair, that
Name
was
an Irish
Roach's second
champion of the
fight.
world. There you go. It's not British imperialist bias. It's a fact. Kind of a fact, bro.
So you never met an Irishman that could throw hands?
They can't fight.
All right. Well, listen. Do you want to give your prediction for Beterbiev Bivol? Pigeon. Did he fall asleep? Pigeon, are you still there? Turn your camera on, please. So
He fell drunk asleep.
he actually hung up. I think he got it off his chest. He kept saying he wanted to get it off his chest. So I think he did.
You know what I think? What Pigeon really wanted to get off his chest?
Come on! Don't tell me what.
No, I'm not I'm kidding. I think he wanted to get what he really wanted to get off his chest was he wanted to say, "There's no Irishman that could beat me. I'll never lose to an Irishman."
I think that's what he was trying to get at there. I think that's what he was trying to get at. So I mean, I don't know. Shout out to the Pigeon. I thought he was going to give us his prediction for the Beterbiev Bivol fight, but he didn't. So that's what I really want to hear. Instead, we got to hear.
Did, didn't he?
Well, I mean, instead we got to hear off
the lesser Irish guy.
lesser Irish. All I heard was Freddy Cockroach. Listen, and I have to get this off my chest. That's what I heard.
Aren't the Irish like in every race? That's what I heard. It's like the most ancient one. That's I know a second Renaissance one, but
well, I mean,
some people
like
look at Canelo. There's no more bigger example than that.
Bingo.
Oh yeah, you should have.
Right?
Yeah, we should have told him Canelo. Then what would you have said then?
And I think Canelo will whip Pigeon's ass.
Come on, now wait a minute.
You never seen Pigeon flex?
Hey, Pigeon. Pigeon's back.
You can get down, but I just got my money on Canelo.
I'm kind of.
Hold on, recognize. Hold on, guys. Pigeon's back. All right, Pigeon.
Bro, but my reception's not good, bro.
We just came up with a Irish fighter that can fight, the current Irish fighter, Canelo Alvarez.
There you go.
We stumped him.
King of Ireland, bro.
Pigeon, what about Canelo Alvarez? He's an Irish fighter.
Yeah. What do you got to say about that?
I think his connection's fucked up, man. That's what he said, and that's why he's not answering. And I would also throw Andrew Ward in there.
It's connected from Algeria. That's what it is.
I would also throw Andrew Ward in there. Andrew Ward, half Irish.
The half Irishman.
There you go. All right, Pigeon, we can't hear you, man. Maybe try another connection or another device that you got on there, because we can't hear you.
What about Mickey Ward? Mickey Ward, a full Irishman.
Mickey Ward, absolutely. Now, I wanted to say, too, that, shout out to JXV88 for his contribution to the Super Chat, and he says, what's he saying? He says, Beterbiev has fought better opposition in the pros and the amateurs. Would you guys agree with that? Do you think Beterbiev has fought better opposition than Bivol?
I think Beterbiev.
First of all, I don't like the whole Ami thing. No disrespect
I think he won last week.
But I don't like the whole comparison. Two different sports. But I mean, I guess you could use that as a barometer and measuring stick. But I mean, he fought Usyk in the amateurs, I guess. I mean, he fought some or he beat Usyk, right? Or Usyk beat him. One of those. He
beat Usyk as well. Yeah, they beat each other. But hold on, but Pigeon, you were gonna say that you agree with that? You think Beterbiev has fought better opposition than Bivol?
I do, yeah. It's like Beterbiev's fought like Usyk twice. He lost once, and I think Usyk beat him twice. I think Beterbiev, in terms of he's had less fights than Bivol, but I think he's more generally sound than Bivol. I think it won't go over 3 rounds. I think Beterbiev will knock him out in the 3rd round, and I'm pro-Israel, bro. So I'm not coming for.
Okay.
I absolutely hate Muslim. I'm just being honest, bro.
Wait a minute.
I think Beterbiev will knock him out, bro.
You used to live in Algeria, but you hate Muslims.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Are there a lot of...
I'm not a fan of the Muslims, bro. Yeah, the food stinks. The food stinks. The fucking place stinks. Everything about Algeria stinks, bro. Do you want to look at the floor, actually? Look at that, bro. Oh,
What do we want to look at? What?
I had to even lay my own.
Tell us how you really feel about Algeria.
I had to put my own floor.
I'm not gonna even ask what you say about
it. Was
women.
that depressing?
Hold on,
Islamic countries are depressing, bro.
There's a delay. Yeah, there's a delay between the. There's a delay between what you say and what the people on the Discord hear. But what did you say about the floor? About your floor?
I had to lay my own floor in that country before I went to the place where I lived, bro.
Look at Pigeon. He knows how to lay floors. He knows he does a little sheetrock work, a little roofing. Pigeon, you might as well be Mexican. You might as well be Mexican, man.
Let's say, are you Mexican?
Well,
Pigeon?
I
Are you
am Mexican, bro. But listen, everything at the moment going on with the fucking Bivol Beterbiev fight. I think Beterbiev's gonna knock him out in early rounds, bro. Ain't gonna go past 3.
That's what I didn't hear. Oh, BDA is you didn't put the doggometer. Would you say Beterbiev has more dog? You know, like fighting with a busted head. I don't know. I think I see more dog in Beterbiev.
Well, I'll tell you what. Based on how Beterbiev, you can see his wife submissive. She's wearing the burqa. He probably never lets her out of the house without an escort. And then you look at Bivol, how he's going with his wife. Yeah, I would definitely say Beterbiev has more dog, for sure.
No, that's wrong. That's wrong because Bivol's wife dumped him 2 years ago. Like, Bivol's wife dumped him, and she's friends with Canelo and his wife now. So, like what BDA just said was wrong. Yeah. Bivol's a scumbag. His wife got rid of him. That's what happened in the real world. And Beterbiev, his wife adores him. So
there you go. The Muslims that you hate are actually able to keep their wives in check, whereas Bivol, probably Orthodox Christian, or I don't know what, Buddhist or something.
It's not about that. It's not about that. It's the fact that it's nothing to do with keeping a wife in check. It's the fact that maybe Bivol wife didn't like him, but maybe Beterbiev wife likes him more. I don't think it's religion. I think it's down to maybe who they like.
Well, I guess I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. Well, listen, Pigeon, we'll let you get back to your thing. I know you're probably working on donating a little bit of your money to Israel, the IDF fund, but you do whatever.
I am, bro.
You do.
I am. That's what I'm doing. Listen. I just want to. Can I just say something before I go?
Absolutely.
Listen. The 7th attack was disgusting. Whatever happened with these crazies was absolutely ridiculous. And like, let's just keep it boxing. Let's keep everything going on with the BDA channel, and let's keep it going on with the Mr. Pigeon, because there's been too many bad things said about what's going on in the world. But listen, when you take old people and grannies hostage, you expect to get exactly what you get. If you play silly games, let me just say this to the Muslims, the Hamas and the Hezbollah. Play silly games, you're gonna win silly prizes, bro. Play silly games, you're gonna win silly prizes, bro. Pigeon
sounds like my grandfather teaching me a lesson after I play with fireworks or something. You know, you don't play in the kitchen if it gets too hot. Or like, I don't know what he's talking about. All right, well, listen, Pigeon, man, thank you for joining. Thank you for coming in. Don't be a stranger, man. We want to see more people. Demand more Pigeon on this show. So make sure to show up every once in a while, right?
Yeah, I'm only here to love Oscar De La Hoya. That's all I'm around about.
All right, there you go.
Love to do, bro.
Would you party with Oscar De La Hoya?
Oh yeah.
I've already met his cousin, the Louis. You know, the big fat one.
Louis De La Hoya.
I met him in France like 32 years ago, bro. So
look at that.
I I've
Wow.
met them before, so yeah.
There you go. The pigeons live the full life. All right, pigeon.
Yeah.
Good to hear from you, man, and take it easy out there. Right, we'll talk later, man.
Hasta la vista, my friend. Look
Hasta la
after
vista.
yourself, nigga. Look after yourself, my nigga.
All right, all right, take it easy, man. He calls me the N word. What the fuck? All right.
I think that lingerie we saw De La Hoya with was pigeons.
They may be, man. Yeah, maybe that. Who was taking the photograph? We never, that never came out, by the way. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, man. But that was shout out to the pigeon. All right, one last thing about the boxing here is there was something else that happened. We had Tank Davis, his fans admitting that the fight against Lamont Roach is trash. We had the Crawford versus Teofimo Lopez. Apparently, Crawford doesn't want to fight anybody. Who knows who he wants to fight? What else was going on in the boxing world? I have a list actually.
Just a lawsuit, but I don't know if you covered that. There was the lawsuit. Yeah.
Oh yeah, talk about that. Yeah, talk about the Haney. I mean, that's all news now. But yeah,
I mean, yeah. I mean, everybody knows Devin Haney is suing Ryan Garcia for battery, and basically it just amounts to it ruined his career, right? Like that ass whooping he took due to Ryan cheating ruined all his future earnings because I guess he was in line to fight Liam Pardo. Remember, he gave up his belt. There was talks of him fighting Liam Pardo, and then Liam Pardo was actually on an interview saying that Davina Hanke wanted too much money like a hoe. So that told him, hey, I'm not worth what I think I'm worth anymore. And Eddie Hearn basically, remember, he was at the UK arena and he was crying about he didn't give me tickets. It's like, bro, you lose it and you got no more friends. That's just reality.
That's a very poignant point right there, Frank. And again, people keep saying
he realized. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me just wrap it up.
Sure.
I'll let you cook on it. So his dad was on. Shout out, if I could say a name, everybody knows who they are. TBV. I don't fuck with them. I got booted. But Haney's dad came back and said he's the face of boxing and he should fight Jake Paul. So they realized their values tanked. It's in the gutter, and so that's why they want to sue. But yeah.
Yep, I agree. I agree with that. That I said it, man. This kind of reminds me of like a scam where they had a scam going on, and that was to make Devin Haney basically have this flawless record. I've always said it. You take Devin Haney's O away, and he brings nothing to the table. And I think that's what's coming into fruition. I think that there is some truth to him, the way he got beat. That it destroyed his his ability to earn the kind of money he wants. I mean, he can earn money. It's just not the money that he wants. It's not going to get that. Whatever he was getting.
Oh, go ahead.
Yep. No, go ahead,
I
Frank.
just thought of an analogy. It's like one of these Instagram models. She's selling her ass online, and then somebody puts out a sex tape on her, and her value tanks, and then she wants to sue that guy. Like, oh, he put it out there? You asshole! Like, come on. These people are whores. Can I say that, BDA? They're whores.
They're whores. A, she was a whore.
Whore.
And B, that wasn't my kid. No, but you know what? Listen. Bucho said this a while ago when we were talking about the business side of boxing. He said, look, after Mayweather, a lot of these promoters were all trying to get the next Mayweather. And Devin Haney was one of those guys, one of those post-Mayweather guys that these promoters like Eddie Hearn wanted to get their arms around. And, he's going to be the next Mayweather. But it's all dependent on the O. Their marketing depends on the undefeated record because they're relatively boring. So nobody's going to go watch them fight based on their entertainment value. So what they do is, okay, he's boring, but that's because he's a technician. And then they get their lackeys, their writer lackeys from Twitter and other platforms to write about how Haney's such a master at boxing, the next Floyd Mayweather. So they try to build up some hype around that. So, hey, come watch the fight, the next Mayweather, the guy who's untouchable. And Haney wasn't that. He wasn't entertaining and he wasn't dominant. So what happens? It's all dependent on the O, on the zero. And once they lose that zero, and Bucho was saying that once these guys lose their zero, it's over. And you're starting to see everything that Frank was saying too. You're starting to see it. They lost that O. Now all of a sudden they're starting to realize that paydays that they're being offered aren't that great because they were never that great to begin with. They never should have been that great. The guy can't draw flies. His pay-per-view against Lomachenko flopped. The pay-per-view against Prograis flopped. The only saving grace was that they did relatively well at the gate. And then against Garcia, which should have been a big fight, wasn't as big a fight as they expected. So now he's starting to realize, look, you want to fight Paro, you want to fight what's his name, Sandor Martin, this is what you're going to get. And if you don't like it, too bad. That's why, in part, and I think the guy, what's HLD, we were on Frank Bay's podcast, we were talking about that it's because that's partially why he's suing Ryan Garcia, because they're realizing, shit, we can't make the $3 million again per fight like we used to.
The ride's over.
Well, but the boxing public is like, well, go get it back in blood. You know how they talk. Go get it back in blood, man. It's like even his fans are like, dude, just go fight the guy. Like you can go get your get back. Every other fighter in history has gone and got their get back, as they like to say. You know, it's happened plenty of times in sports, man. And people go get their get back, and that's right. How it's supposed to be done. So, I
said that's right.
Yeah, you can literally go beat the guy up. If you want to punch carnival workers, then go punch Ryan Garcia. Like, just go sock him. It's just so weak, dude. You're in a sport where you can fight somebody if you don't like what they say. Same with T.O. Then shut him up.
Exactly. You got a license. You got a license, a permit to beat the crap out of the dude. Why don't you go ahead and do it? Because they know they can't. And you know, I was talking to Jimmy about this, and he said, "Look, I think it's the Lomachenko fight broke him. The fight that he knows in his heart of hearts, he didn't win that fight against a smaller, older guy. That he told it to his face. He told Lomachenko, 'You're too little. You're too little.' And then this little guy is pushing him back and beating him. That's what broke him. The Prograis fight sort of got him back on track a little bit, but then it's the Ryan Garcia one. That was the nail in the coffin, the last nail in the coffin. Because this dude, I mean, come on, he hasn't fought since April. There's no talks about him fighting. He doesn't want to rematch Garcia. He seems very ambivalent. Now he's suing him. I mean, come on. It's a bad look, man. It's a bad look. It's amazing. If he had competent PR people behind him, they would have turned this their way. With the Ryan Garcia, with the racial slurs and the fucking being caught with PEDs. He had a prime position to make himself look like the good guy here, and instead he fucked it all up. Probably because the only guy who's in charge of his career direction is his father. And it's one thing to be able to sell drugs on the street. It's another to actually manage a fighter. And he did a relatively good job of getting him to where he is, but eventually the buck stops here, as they like to say. His abilities are limited, and he doesn't know how to get out of this hole. The things that work on the street... They don't work here with against the memes.
You're literally in the fight game. This is what it's about. It's about going and showing dominance over another male, right? You go and establish dominance.
That's right.
He's weak. Inside, we always knew he was weak, that he was mentally weak. He was physically weak. He can't punch. He's not athletic as some of these other guys. You know, the Tank Davis is probably arguably, Teofimo and Tank are arguably more athletic. He can't punch. We always knew his skills were limited. So the only thing he had going for him was, like Rick and I said, the O, or you said the O. So he's been exposed, and he doesn't want. I don't think he wants to fight Ryan Garcia again. Personally,
no, he does. I don't think. Yeah,
I think they know that they'll lose.
They're waiting to see how he looks. They're waiting to see if he gets fat. And I'm glad you brought that up about boxing. Yeah, it's essentially, it's a sport between two guys competing to see who can dominate the other, who can best the other one. Like, okay, you prepared, I prepared. Now let's see who's the best is. And that's what I do when I go to the gym, by the way. I dominate. In every situation, I got that mentality. And I don't even try to, by the way. It's something that you cannot buy. And that's the main issue here with Devin Haney. He brought his father, his daddy bought him a lot. They bought him a title shot, an email belt. They bought him a career over in Mexico fighting a bunch of midgets in barbecue joints. They brought him a relationship with Mauricio Suleiman, who he said, we're in the Devin Haney business since the start of your career. We've taken care of you. So Daddy Haney has been able to buy him a lot of things, bought him the car, bought him the apartment and next to the club where he could go dancing. Now the buck stops here, man. You can't buy everything. And like you said, he can't buy that.
I think definition of a boxing scam gone wrong. Like that's the like I'm gonna look at this one and say this is what it's really about. You know, what for people that think that there aren't fighters that are manufactured. Like, it's like, dude, you're looking at one. This is when they don't have a backup plan, right? And all fails. Because, bro, Ryan Garcia destroyed this dude. Like, yeah, he won some rounds because Ryan was out of shape and probably like let him, but he was always in control of that fight. Simple. Why was he in control? Because Devin Haney posed no real threat to him. He never posed a real threat to Ryan Garcia. And he knows that in a rematch, right, there's a chance that Ryan Garcia could just like fucking fall off, when it comes to training, and there's a good shot that he could come in washed up. But if he comes in anywhere near the shape that he was in that fight, he's probably going to knock Devin Haney out this time.
Oh.
Okay? And I think that the days of Ryan Garcia playing second fiddle, meaning making himself weak to make a fight happen, those days are over with. He's not doing that no more, like he did with Tank. That's over with.
I think so. I think he learned his lesson. Let me read a couple of super chats.
So he's like, why would I fight this guy again? He's gonna come in. He's gonna come in just as big as the last time, and probably this time knock me out.
Probably, yeah. You're right, man. That's probably. I'm betting that that's what he's thinking. He's very unsure of himself right now. Shout out to Chris K for his contribution with the super chat. He says, Bivol likes a clean fight. Beterbiev fights well and close. Healthy Beterbiev probably wins. Trudeau is innocent. Conservative head job. What's he talking about? Trudeau is innocent. I don't get the reference. Why is he being charged with something? Well, shout out to Rafael Garza. Shout out to Rafael Garza for his contribution with the super chat. He says,
we support though.
Well, no,
and probably the worst thing about. I'm sorry.
Real quick, yeah.
Probably the worst thing about Ryan, the whole Ryan, if you're Haney, is that they thought that they could start a campaign and people would hate Ryan Garcia and cheating, and it just made him more popular. That's crazy. That would kill me inside. I'm punching air. Like, why don't they hate him? He's supposed to be canceled, and he's just gotten bigger and bigger, and more famous.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I was saying these tactics, street tactics, don't work in the meme world. The internet world is a different sphere, man. The tactics that work in the streets don't work here, and vice versa. But Bill Haney doesn't understand that, and he's only making it worse for his son, who's going crazier by the minute. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up in some sort of institute by the end of the year. Shout out to Rafael Garza for his contribution with the super chat. He says, I suspect the Haney's bet the farm and needed that O back to get out of the bet. However, they still had to pay up. Plus his brother, the Prophet. Yeah, the brother, the Prophet, who had a direct landline to Allah and who gave him via dream, told him, hey, Ryan Garcia is going to test positive. He had that through a dream, a vision, prophecy. But that's about, listen, I want to see Haney versus Garcia too.
Did y'all talk about Bradley's comments on the lawsuit?
He said he made a good point about that. Go ahead.
So man. Bradley's one of those guys who loves the talk up Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson, but he even had to turn his back on Haney over this, and he said it's some soft shit to do, and you could just fight him again, and it's just a bad thing for boxing. It's just a bad look, and bro. He said he said he had such a hard time with Provokanov, and he said that's not, I don't know. He just said that's not the way you do things. You know what I mean? That's not a manly thing to do. Fuck, I'm trying to figure. I can't remember the last thing he said was.
Well, I'll tell you what he said. One interesting thing he revealed was that he has a contact that he trusts, and that contact told him that Ryan Garcia wasn't training properly for the Haney fight, and that the Austrian that he took was actually to lose the weight and make the weight come fight night, and he couldn't even come close to making that, even with the Austrian. So the Austrian didn't help him. According to the expert opinion of Bradley's contact, didn't help him building muscle. It didn't make him faster. It didn't make him stronger. If anything, he probably, and this is what Jimmy told me as well. He said the Austrian probably hurt him when it came to performance. It was just something to make the weight officially to get the fight done. But so again, that's probably what's irking the Haneys more and more. Because I don't know if Victor Conte is actually telling him the truth, but I suspect maybe they know somehow that, hey man, it wasn't really the Austrian that did you in. It was just
check it out, BDA. What he also said that you reminded me. he said that he talked to somebody and close to the situation. That he said there's some funny business going on with those tests, and he doesn't think that Ryan like purposely ingested the offspring.
Yeah, that's what
I
people.
remember him saying.
I think didn't the more dates, more plates, or more plates, more dates guy said as well.
He said that as well. Yeah.
I think what's going to end up happening is it's going to backfire. Let's say if they go to court, then when you sue someone, they have the right to discovery too. They can countersue you, and so what's going to end up happening is that they're going to say, okay, what happened in this case? What went down? Ryan Garcia is going to be able to prove that Vada said that he did not take a banned substance purposely and that it didn't give him any benefits. That's officially written down by them. The reason why he was suspended because he did not disclose what he was taking, right? The supplements that had the contamination of ostarine, whether that's true or not, that's not the point. The New York State Athletic Commission suspended him because he didn't disclose what he was taking, not because he failed a test.
Exactly. That's a great distinction and a great point that you had to make. Yeah, that's the technicality of it. So people that keep saying, well, he's being suspended because he took the PEDs, it's not really that. It's that the official reason is something else. So that's a whole... Yeah, that's the whole other ballgame that we're getting into now. So, the Haneys are probably in a bit of a bind right there in regards to that. And, I mean, I don't know. It's a weird thing that they're going through, that we just make the rematch. Have a rematch. Let's see it happen. See what happens. But the Haneys, they just don't.
You don't see, you know what it is, BDA? When you don't see a guy interested in a rematch and is more interested in suing that guy, that's because he sees no way to get his get back.
But that's the insane thing, because I do see a way to get the get back, because Ryan Garcia is such a mental fuck up. He's not even training. He didn't train properly for the Tank Davis fight, according to him, and now it's coming out that he didn't even train for the Haney fight either. So this guy at some point is not even training properly. There's a way to beat him, but Haney doesn't believe in it.
But you know what it is? Ryan Garcia is so in his head.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the problem.
Yeah, that's one of the main problems right there.
The whole situation that went down, right? Like, people forget. Remember, he was really, when you really think about it, going into the fight, all the buildup and you know, the press conference, it was Devin Haney bullying Ryan Garcia. You know, he was like, "Oh, you're a C-level fighter," pushing him, you know, getting up in his face, you know, you nothing. And at the end of the night, he got beat up. So that's also a mental head fuck. It's like a guy that you look down upon beat you up, and you know he beat you up not because he was on some banned substance, because even if he was, so are you.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know that for a fact. I know you're not dealing with a guy like Victor Conte, and you're not taking nothing. Like, why would you need Victor Conte for then?
Yeah, I mean, is Victor Conte's zinc ZMA supplement really that life changing and performance enhancing? I mean, I don't know. By the way, we got a phone call here. Let's go to a phone call before we end the show here. Let's go to 323. 323, you're on the air. 323, what's on your mind?
Hey, guys, what's up? Hey, VDA, clear something up for me, because I don't want to... I just want to make sure I see these fights. I'm a little confused. Is it on ESPN Plus, or it's free, right? It's not part of your ESPN.
Well, I suspect you're talking about the Beterbiev Bivol fight, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, from what I understand here in my neck of the woods, Canada and the US, of course, as well, if you buy the DAZN card, no, excuse me, you don't even have to buy the DAZN. The DAZN is free. It's not a pay-per-view, the other card. Now, if you want to watch the main event, however, that's on ESPN Plus. And so for you in the United States, in the United States, you're going to get the main event. And I think the DAZN is free too if you have a DAZN subscription. I think. I know for a fact here in Canada it's going to be free, the DAZN. It's part of the subscription. But the main event, I think that's pay-per-view here for us in Canada.
I saw a video earlier that said that they're going to charge you for the undercard fights, and then once the main event, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you're just paying for the whole thing.
Yeah,
So
that's
I don't understand unless it's on another. Is it on two platforms? Is that what it is? And one is charging and one isn't charging? Is that what's going on?
All I know is that as it
That
pertains
doesn't
to the
make any
United
fucking
States,
sense at all.
all I know is that as it pertains to the United States, you will be able to watch the Beterbiev Bivol thing on ESPN Plus.
Okay, as a part of your regular subscription, that's what it does.
Yeah.
Your sub is paying is like that's it. You don't have to pay for. Okay, cool. That's kind of what I wanted to get down because I could not find any like credible source that said it's on this and that's it. But are they showing the undercards or are the undercards on the Turkey LL Sheikh thing?
Well, that's the thing. I know for a fact that here in Canada, that card, the undercard, is part of the regular DAZN subscription. And I think in the US, I think Fat Dan said that in the US that stands as well.
Oh, okay. All right.
And that's
confusing. I don't know why they would. I don't know why you would have undercards on one network and then the main event on another. It's kind of fucking stupid, but oh well. As long as it's. I mean, it's a hell of a fight. This is something I wouldn't mind actually paying for if they did a pay-per-view. It's kind of like a lost opportunity on everyone involved, but I'm not complaining. It's going to be a great card from what I understand. And why are we still talking about Ryan Garcia and this dipshit? They're both dipshits. But I mean, yeah, I like I said before. I said it a long time ago when this whole thing first broke. It's 0.6 nanograms, so it's really nothing. It's like a very small trace amount. And I'm sorry, like PEDs don't work that way. You just don't microdose in that level expecting some big change to occur. It just doesn't work that way. Even if you take something, even if you're taking like testosterone, you'd have to take it for replacement, just for replacement purposes, you take very little. You can take 0.5 a week, and that just basically brings you to about an average level. To incur any kind of change would be a little bit more, of course, but this whole thing with you just mentioned Derek from More Plates, More Dates. When he read it, he was kind of thinking it was just the most ridiculous thing because it was just such a small amount. And they probably know that it was such a small amount, and they don't want to rematch this guy because it's not the drugs, obviously, that beat Haney.
I like how you call that More Plates, More Days guy by his first name, like the guy. Like, oh yeah, Jimmy said, Bob's told me the other day we're having a cup of coffee. He told me, shut up, you don't know the guy.
Well, that's what he said. That's what he goes by. He's Derek with More Plates, More Dates. I don't know. Everybody just calls him Derek.
You should call him that asshole. You should call him that asshole I don't know from YouTube. That's what you should address him as. Don't address him as
that Canadian asshole. That Canadian asshole I don't know from YouTube.
There you go, man. Hey, he's
there
Canadian.
You go. More appropriate.
I didn't know he was Canadian.
Is he what?
I didn't know he was Canadian.
I think he's Canadian. Yeah, he's a Canadian bodybuilder or something like that. But I watch his stuff because supplement taking is I'm off and on. I cycle off and on different ones, but I've never done Austrian before. I don't think it's just come up on anyone's radar. I don't think it's very helpful on its own. Like you'd have to take that with a cocktail, Right. I don't think Austrian by itself is something that would benefit anyone in any way. I mean, there are better drugs out there than and if you have money, you're gonna buy something better than fucking Austrian, dude. That the fuck is what are you doing?
Exactly.
So
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe like I said, the timelines were really funny because he was tested 2 weeks before and he was tested vigorously because they thought he was on coke. I don't know if you guys remember, but the guy was like on a party rampage, and I think he was the most tested person leading up to the fight. So he didn't have any weed, he didn't have any other illegal substances in his system, and then like the week of the fight, they tested him twice, and I don't know if they tested him twice. I think it was one sample. They tested the A sample, and then it's the same piss, and then they tested again like a week later or whatever the fuck. I don't know why they do that, but whatever their protocol is. If you're gonna piss hot on the A test, you're definitely gonna piss hot on the B test. Now, from what I understand, it was such a small trace amount that it may have been a contamination of some kind, but he fumbled it when he sent in those stupid tests that were, the products that were already open, and the company that he blamed, the CEO came out in defense of their company and tested the same lot number. So they gathered all of the serial numbers that they sold in that lot, and they tested them and they were clean. According to that company.
He should have gotten the same people that Crawford got a hold of over at Everlast Boxing, where they took the blame for his gloves exploding for the Evanesian fight. If they would see that's the people he should have gotten a hold of, not this supplement people. They didn't get the memo, or
supplement guy. Yeah,
yeah, they didn't get the envelope with the cash.
And we gotta love that the supplements were opened already. They were open containers. So,
exactly.
It's just the whole thing was fumbled pretty badly on both sides. Listen, this guy's looking really bad. I mean, if he wants the last word, he's getting the last word here, and it's looking awful. He should have shut the fuck up and just trained his ass off to fight him again, and that was it.
Exactly.
He's no Miguel Cotto, obviously. He's no warrior. His stock is driven. Anybody who says this guy has not lost stock wants to suck this guy's dick.
Oh, wait a minute.
They have fantasies about sucking him off and swallowing the gravy and stroking the shaft very slowly, and then at the same time simultaneously massaging.
All right, we gotta go, man. We gotta go.
And the hairy balls and getting that man sweat all over their lips. You're kidding.
We gotta.
And then as soon as that gravy comes out, they just suck it up.
Now he's talking about the cooking channel. Listen, we gotta go, man. We gotta go. Shout out to you, Don Madrazos. Thank you for your call, Don Madrazos, and we'll catch you in the next one. All right, man? Take it easy.
Hey, guys, you take it easy, man.
All right, take it easy, man. Thanks for calling in. I don't know, man. I don't know what's up with Don Madrazos. He gets a little out of...
He was about to go on a rant.
He gets a little hot under the collar. It's almost like, you know what? I can imagine him talking like that to Bivol's wife. Can you imagine how she would get under his skin? But what was I going to say then? Yeah, I think we've said it all. Yeah, Bivol, Haney should have just fought right off the bat Ryan Garcia. And by the way, Don Madrazo said Haney's no Cotto. I just remember Cotto always, when he used to speak English, I think he's going to have to handle my explosivity. He would always use the word explosivity, and I don't know. Sometimes I almost slip up, and instead of saying explosiveness, I say explosivity too. So gotta watch out for those Cotto interviews. He's a bad influence, let me tell you.
BDA, I actually looked that up in the dictionary. It's a word.
Oh, god damn. Okay, so then I'm the asshole. All right.
He learned it.
Yeah, he beat us. Hey, wait a minute! I just looked it up too, and it's not even in the but it doesn't mean that he doesn't mean what he thinks it means.
What does it mean?
It says explosivity, countable and uncountable, plural explosivities. What? Now my OCD is kicking in, and I gotta look this up. Hold on a second. It doesn't come up on the Merriam-Webster dictionary.
Oh, I thought I did. I thought I looked it up in there.
You know what? I forgot. I started trusting Never Sobers, and I forgot that the guy's high as a kite right now.
Use the Urban Dictionary. Use the Urban Dictionary, brother.
He's using the Herbal Dictionary. That's the one that they give you when you buy a pound of weed over at the dispensary.
All right, I'm about to shut this down right now. Okay. You're obviously spelling it like a Python BDA.
Yeah, I probably am. Yeah. It doesn't. Where is it? That's AI. First of all, AI. We were talking about that yesterday on Second Renaissance. That's not actual AI. We should stop calling these things artificial intelligence. They're not. Second of all, it's I can't find it in an actual dictionary. Explosivity can refer to the signs of a volcanic eruption, the potential for an explosion in a substance or a I don't believe that, man. If it's not in a dictionary, I don't buy it, man. Sorry.
What about the Wiktionary?
Every
Maybe.
once in a while, I get out an explosivity myself, you know.
Ah, come on. Yeah, hey, listen, I gotta.
Have you ever had like some real spicy enchiladas that make?
All right. We gotta go. We gotta go. Fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Gotta give a big shout out to Recognize, Never
Thank
Sobers,
you.
Frank Bay. Shout out to you guys for showing up. Everybody that called in, except Don Maradazos with his pointy mouth. Oh, hold on. Somebody's calling in here. Last minute phone call.
Yo, yeah. Yeah. All right, can you hear me? BDF.
Burley, man, you sound muffled, but go ahead.
What? I have AirPods in. I'm using the Negro headphones. But anyways,
All right. Jeez,
so I got
Louise.
Beterbiev round 7 through 9 stoppage. His feet are deceptively quick, so when he gets out of range, that's kind of one thing. But behind his jab, he's really, really good at closing range, and that's when he lets his 6-punch combinations go off after that jab lands. And if you kind of want some context, look at the Callum Smith and Bostic fights. So people are talking about Bivol's footwork, but Beterbiev is just as I almost think just as fast as he is, in all honesty. And obviously, we know the American media isn't talking about the mega cards in Japan this week as well. There's 8 different world title fights. You have 2 at junior fly, 3 at flyweight, 2 at bantamweight, and 1 at super fly. So I'm going to be watching all that. And I'm just going to say Teo's the right amount of retarded where Crawford's scared of him. I think he gets in these fighters' heads. He got in Taylor's head. He got in Loma's head. And, Crawford doesn't want none of that. And I'm tired of all these people dick-sucking this fucking Crip faggot. Because what's going on here is everyone said Spence. He ducking Crawford. But check this out. All Spence said was come over to PBC and you get the fight. And look what happened. The fight was made. So Spence was unifying the division, doing all this shit. And everyone said, all Crawford fanboys said he was ducking and had to go all these stipulations. And now look, Crawford's got telling Teo he's got to beat Madrimov and do all that shit to fucking get the fight with him. So what's the problem? I mean, Teo's an accomplished fighter. He's a 2-weight lineal champion. That's probably one of the biggest money fights Crawford can get, honestly, aside of maybe Virgil Ortiz. So, but we know why he's scared of Teo and shit. Teo will knock him out and expose him because he's a flat-footed hype job.
I mean, you really believe Teofimo Lopez knocks out Terence Crawford?
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't move his head. Wow. He gets smashed. It's a mismatch.
That's a bold prediction.
Yeah, Crawford over it. That's all I say. Yeah.
It's a bold prediction coming from
Dora. Get the banana, BDA. Whichever monkey wants to get the banana. I've been saying this before fucking Crawford even fought Madrimov that Teo beats him. He's a hype job, man. He fought a fucking drunk alcoholic that can't move his head and has slow feet. Teo doesn't have any of that. He's not a one-dimensional plotter like Spence is. So yeah, that's all I had to say on that. Right. But watch the Japanese fights this weekend. They're really, really good, and they're not going to get the credit they deserve. There's a lot of really good fights.
Yeah, all right. Take it easy, man. Thank you for calling in. Now, yeah, that car from Japan. There's a lot of big names fighting, but I don't know. It's Nakatani is fighting a tough. The guy's from Thailand, I think. That he's fighting. I might get up for that one, but the other guys, I don't know. I know fucking Bomba Rodriguez is fighting. Finally, I made a mistake of thinking he was fighting months ago and he was a different Rodriguez, but now the Bomba's back. And maybe, I don't know, I find it hard to get up at 5 in the morning to watch some of these fights nowadays, especially if it's not Inoue against anybody that I care about. But, yeah, man, that's about it. Anything else you guys want to say before we move on, before we go?
No, I just hope that it's a good fight. I hope it's a fight because everybody's, getting excited for it. Well, just hardcores, like you said earlier. But I hope it actually lives up to the hype. Like I said, I just throwing it out there, just the winner become number 1 pound for pound. If Beterbiev sleeps Bivol, that's an argument, and if Bivol shuts Bivol shuts him out 12-0, then there's an argument. So hopefully it lives up to the hype.
Yeah, Alonso Amazing in the chat says Dora is hyping up Teo because he beat his god Loma. Oh, well, listen, that's a possibility right there. You never know.
It's going to be a good fight. I know that.
What are you watching on the TV? Recognize? I hear the TV on or the radio. What is it?
I'm watching. I'm watching a little bit of baseball right now. That's my second.
I thought Recognize was going to say, "Oh yeah, I'm just watching Bloomberg. I'm watching the stock market.
I'm watching the stock market. I'm watching my money plummet. I'm watching my money just taking a plunge.
You're like, you know who Wes Watson is? Wes Watson on YouTube.
I know.
Yeah, that dude. Now they're making fun of him because every other time he shows up, he's always talking about, so today I'm gonna make probably about $66,000. Yesterday we made about $50,000. Like, so he reminded me of Floyd Mayweather saying that he was making how much? $2 million a month or something, or no, some astronomical amount. He was saying he was making 50 or something.
$200 million a month.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Wes. I mean, I liked his videos early on when he was just talking about fuck the cafeteria food and all that, but now he's turning into a joke, man. People are making fun of him left and right.
Made
on
about
YouTube.
60,000 about an hour ago. I'm hoping to make another. Shut the fuck up.
Oh man. I know Never Sobers is a fan of the guy. He can't stop talking about him, but you gotta face the facts, man. The guy's a bit of a he's
He's a bit of a weirdo.
Yeah.
What are you talking shit about?
You said, Wes Watson, I want to be like him. Or something like that. I forget what you said. I think Never Sobers even said, I'm the Mexican Wes Watson. I said, really?
I might have let it slip once or twice, but
did you guys ever you guys ever notice that Wes Watson, whenever he does his videos, he always he puts the camera to his left, right or right, and he closes his fist, or he puts his fingers between his hands so that he's always flexing. You ever notice that?
Yeah, like a girl, bro. He has to find his good angle. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, man. Oh man, yeah. What a guy, man. Good for him. He's living it up, man. He's enjoying going nuts, talking about being an alpha male, but everything bothers him. He always has to complain about everything. All right, well, listen.
Did you see that? Wait, hold on, VDA. Did you see that video where he yells at the guys blowing leaves in his yard?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
He's like doing a video. He's like, I can't fucking think. These leaf blowers, and he's like, hey, and like you hear the leaf blowers like turn down, and he's like, hey, and they just turn back on, so you can tell the workers kind of ignored him. Like, it was funny.
You know what? This dude reminds me of someone else from the YouTube boxing community. A certain person that always used to say about how tough he was. He was a gang member, gang leader. He's been in the pen, blah, blah, blah. Kind of reminds me of that dude, except, at least Wes Watson's in shape.
Pigeon?
At least he worked. What's that?
Are you talking about Pigeon?
No, come on. Why you got to throw Pigeon under the bus, man? Come on. Pigeon's actually in shape, man. He doesn't need roids for anything. All right, well, listen, fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Glad you showed up to the show. Again, I want to give a shout out to Recognize Frank.
Thank you, Luke.
Thank you, man. Never Sobers, everybody that called in, everybody that donated with the super chat as well. Shout out to you guys. Always appreciate you coming by and listening to this show. I want to give a big shout out. Who do we got here? We got Epadakua, Quentin Lassiter, 2 Matador. Dora was in there. Rapax Trunking Company, 10-4, Dex 224, Sergeant. Who else? We had Mexican Boxing number 1, Quick Sloth. I Am Your Leader. Shout out to I Am Your Leader in the house. Bray was in there. Epadokua, Hawker Mustang, PSK, Double L. Earl Stevens. Shout out to Earl. The Quags was in there. Buddy Lee. And if I forgot, the Raised. Alejandro Solis. If I forgot anybody, fellas, it's because we gotta go. I gotta go get myself something to eat.